3 of the past 4 premiership banners have adorned the Central's flagpole. Coach Roy Laird's quest is a simple one. He wants yet another flag. And along the way today, he can also claim the minor premiership at the Ponderosa. But the Magpies have a finals quest of their own from the Elizabeth Oval. It's round 21 action, Central District versus Port Adelaide. Well, 8 of the past 10 premierships have been won by these two clubs, but certainly Central District has been the power club in the last 5 or 6 seasons, and Port Adelaide, well, they're in a little bit of trouble, you'd say, Ben Knights.
They certainly are. G'day, welcome today. It's been what should be a fantastic clash between two teams desperate for a win. Central securing top spot, Port Adelaide, maybe their last chance for a final spot.
Yes, indeed. And we'll look at the ladder, which will tell us that West Adelaide, Port Adelaide, South Adelaide even all involved in that mix that might get them into the last position in the finals. The top 4 basically decided. Interesting game actually coming up tomorrow. Sturt against North. We'll get to that in a moment. But our clash this afternoon between the top side and Port Adelaide, sitting down there, well, lower than they have been in past years, that's for sure. As we look at that goal kicking, Daniel Schell on course to become the lowest leading goal scorer since Adam Richardson in 1999 when he kicked 66 goals. And as I mentioned, the fixtures this week, only the one this afternoon, our match of the day, Central against Port, but then tomorrow Sturt against North. That should probably decide the 3rd position on the ladder and the double chance, of course. And then Westies with a chance to sneak into 5th position as well.
They certainly do. Look, that should be a couple of great games tomorrow. Westies, they need the win, like Port do today, and South Adelaide, well, they haven't been going too well, and a very important game for them.
Absolutely. As we look at the head-to-head over time, and of course the last decade, these two sides really have been at each other, although, as I mentioned, Port Adelaide really has struggled. The past 2 seasons, they haven't made the finals, and Central District have been very, very consistent. The last time they met, round 13, well, Port Adelaide got very close, but not quite close enough to the Bulldogs. Fitzner came into the side lane, driving down into centre half forward. Crockerpet got a hand to the ball. Hand pass from Bello went astray. Now it's fallen for Ware. Here's the opening goal. You'd think it will roll through.
Ball taken by Cowan around the body. Which way will it bounce for Luke? It's a goal.
Hopster go inside. Burns is to his left. Spotting, for God's sake, he does. But it's too much space. Burns runs onto it. Burns now into goal. Should be a goal. It's a goal for Port Adelaide.
Long kick to the square. Shell couldn't take the mark. Fegan round the corner. Cowan.
No real targets to kick to except McDowell. That's got to be perfect. It isn't quite. Archie did well. Around the corner on the left foot. Rory Archie, what a goal.
Dogs are away. Slade beautifully back to Bello. He may go all the way, Marco. He kicked the goal a moment ago. He may have another one.
Down towards half forward. Pumps it towards Archie. Great trap, great hand pass. Brown releases Ashley into an open goal. Matthew Ashley 2 for Port Adelaide inside 40 seconds. It'll come to Steinberger, and Steinberger will run into an open goal and shut the gate. Good night. That's the end of Port Adelaide. Central have got this one won. And 11 points the margin there, so Port just not able to get over the line. And boy, it's been contrasting fortunes for these two sides in the past week, with Port Adelaide playing Norwood last Friday night at the Norwood Oval. And Norwood, well, they're down the bottom of the ladder. They've said to Gary McIntosh they don't want him next season, but they've produced another victory over their arch rival.
It was a big game for both clubs last week, the 300th clash between Norwood and Port. I know both teams, very, very important game to them, and Port Adelaide not picking that one up last week could become very costly.
Yes, they led by 15 at quarter quarter time and lost by 17. In contrast, Central District in what was it at times in certain areas very heavy conditions at the Unley Oval, and they just were able to mow down Sturt.
They did. It was very even for the first half. We saw that on ABC TV last week. And then after that, the physicality of Central Districts and the speed and the skill just overdid Sturt. And Central Districts, again, a very, very strong win in what were sometimes trying conditions.
As you see there, that final margin of 32 points. They've kicked 50 goals to 16 in the second half of their past 5 matches. They're in reasonable form, Central District, going into this one. Mark Soderstrom, they certainly picked it up, the Bulldogs.
Well, they have, Neil, haven't they? Good afternoon, everyone. Well, a win today will all but clinch the minor premiership for the Bulldogs, and the task will be made a little easier. Stuart Dew and Brad Symes return from AFL duties. Elijah Ware also back in the side after a groin strain. And some good news for the Bulldogs. Simon Arnott had a run around in the B grade today. He looked good, and he could be back for the finals, Neil.
Well, he'd be a handy player, naturally, to slot into what is a very handy side. A lot of experience now, many 3-time premiership players.
Certainly right. They're number 1 in attack, they're number 1 in defence, and their on-ball brigade are as strong as any. They're the most efficient club, and we see there a very strong spine and also just strength over the entire ground.
And so does those things that were just said actually pretty much applied to the Maggies not so long ago.
Well, they used to, didn't they? At the moment, well, not so. They've missed the last 2 finals. They certainly don't want to make a hat-trick out of it. They're playing for their season today. 2 late changes. Ricky O'Loughlin is out of the side, as is Daniel Elston with injuries as a result of last week. Keep an eye out, though, for Mitchell Andrews. He'll be wearing number 42, lining up at fullback. He's making his debut today, and he's a product of the Maggies Juniors.
Mitchell Andrews at full back, and that releases Corey Archie to go to centre half forward. He's been a makeshift for them this season in that position.
He has. Matthew Knights is throwing the lineup around a little bit. He needs to do something today. He needs to include blokes like Parry, maybe throw Parry out of the ruck and throwing forward as they have on the lineup there. We can see Butler taking over the rucking, and Andrews will be interesting to see him as a new guy, how he goes, how he fits into the team at full back.
Just a look at the coin toss with Tony Brown to the right and Heath Hopwood, the captain for Central District. And it'll be Tony Brown kicking to the right of screen, and so does, in terms of the weather, it looks like a perfect day. What have we got in store?
Well, it is absolutely magnificent. The smell of spring is in the air, so that means finals footy is only around the corner. The sun is out, the ground's in super nick, a top of 19 degrees. No breeze to speak of, and we should be in store for an absolute ripper. And here's Michael Maney with the start of the game.
Good on you, Mark Soderstrom. Should be a terrific game of football here at Elizabeth. The Doggies, well, they get out of the blocks pretty quick. They've won 16 of 18 first quarters this year. So expect the Dogs to really put the pressure on early. Port Adelaide last week, 6 goals, 15. Central's 14-4, big difference in accuracy. Underway, round 21 of the SANFL. The big man Schooler knocked the ball down. In goes Davis for the Maggies. Brett Ebert, be interested to see how last year's Magarey medalist, who's played so many games for Port Adelaide Power this year, he just had, looking at my notes, just had 11 possessions last week. They will need double the output from that young man if the Magpies are going to have any chance in today's game. The big man, number 11, Butler, gets his opportunity with the Kane Ackland injury. And there's Cameron Eilert, just copped one round the right ear. Matthew Slade, tough customer as well. Eilert in again, pretty hard. Play going nowhere. Symes, and the umpire will have to call an end to this surely. Ball's not popping out. He's let it go for an eternity. Magpies best of last week. James Wilson just ducks the head. Let's go down the mark in the Central's bench.
Big Jason Buckets McKenzie, who will be helping out in the ruck a little bit later. Kane Officer, who had a ripper last week against Sturt, and also Elijah Ware returning from injury.
Thanks, Mark. Ball still in dispute on the outer side of the ground. Slade may get a first real clearance, so they just pushed the ball to the outer side wing. Thomas has set up Gowan, short kick. Cowan, you saw on the highlights earlier, a reasonable game when these sides met at Elizabeth Oval. Luke Cowan played a bit of reserves footy this year, but he's an important call. His kick for Shell was a beauty. The young man Andrews, he just slipped him. And the leading goal kicker in the SANFL, Daniel Shell, will line up for goal. And Ben, this is pretty good delivery by the Dogs.
That's great delivery. Daniel Shell getting his hands on it early. That will build his confidence up. Andrews, the young guy, just caught a metre or so behind him and couldn't get that speed, get the pace up with Daniel Shell in the lead. So it's the start the Central Districts could be after. Andrews, I'm sure. Matthew Knights has backed him in, so obviously very worthy to stand on Daniel Shell, who's the leading goal kicker, not only at Central Districts, but in the entire competition. So interesting to watch that matchup.
Nice and warm at Elizabeth as Shell's got the short sleeve on. His kick has just bounded through from behind, has it? Just pushed to the right. Daniel Shell can't believe it. He thought that one had just scraped through. Be interesting to have a look at that one.
There it is, Michael, and would you say right over the post?
Not a bad call by the goal umpire, you'd say.
Yeah, I think he's done well there.
Good start, nevertheless, for Central. Schooler will put them back into attack, receives a free kick, just a little bit high over the shoulder. Here's Hay, long kicker off his left foot, inside 50. Not the best of directions, almost a mark. Fegert tries to take on a couple of Bulldogs, including Stuart Dew. Much to prove for that man. He's been dropped by the Port Adelaide AFL side. And almost that mark to Shell. So just 30 metres out from the Central's goal. Here's Bello. He's a left footer, doesn't get a hand pass, so it's this bloke, a left footer around the corner, able to stand up Dew, and the bounce just the wrong side of the post. Central's, as usual, looking menacing. What's the Port bench look like, Sodas?
Tony Bamford and Peter Mann have come into the side for the injured duo of Elston and O'Loughlin, and they're joined by Matty King.
Mark Soderstrom on the boundary line for ABC Television Football as Funk kicks the ball out for Port Adelaide. Ebert got his hands on the footy. James Gowans just knocked it away. Good play by Cowan. Handball over the top, found Thomas in a bit of space. Here's Symes. Symes' kick is a ripper. And Matthew Krieg, who booted 4 last week. And he'll go back from 30 metres out slight angle and look for the doggies first. They've kicked a couple of behinds, but Matthew Krieg has been a revelation up there, Ben.
Central Districts at the moment just putting the pressure on Port around the football. Port turning it over. Central's keeping that forward pressure up, pumping it back in.
Krieg, goal umpire, does little work. He's got his first. The Dogs have got their first. Nice kick by Matthew Krieg. Symes delivering pinpoint to the lead. And the Doggies out by 8 points.
Matthew Knights is throwing this Port Adelaide back line around a little bit from the way it has been the last couple of years and also earlier in the season. It's a big challenge to them today up against what is the most formidable lineup, forward lineup, especially in the competition. Central District's been #1 in attack. So a big job for some inexperienced players, not necessarily inexperienced players, but inexperienced in those positions of Port Adelaide.
Schooler with the touchdown. Ebert roved it. Port Adelaide go forward to centre-half forward. Sibanela with the push on Archie. And Archie, centre-half forward, as we said. He's normally in defence, but he's played a lot at centre-half forward this season. Matthew Knights looking for some competition up there. Hand pass off, and inside 50. 3-on-1, Evans comes out from behind. Couldn't knock it away from Hopwood.
They do that
Set
so
himself.
well. Yep, sorry, Neil, they do that so well. Central Districts drop back in front of Evans, drop back into the hole.
Sibanela makes his way to the ball. He got the kick from Graham and then looks further afield. On the lead comes Krieg. Ignores that. Now comes across field to Schooler, the ruckman, in a bit of space. Takes his time eventually, as you see, trying to pinpoint a pass and does so. Krieg, who made a lot of ground from half forward to take the ball. Kicked 2 in the opening quarter, 2 goals in the opening quarter against Sturt last week. Bulldogs move it forward so well and with precision. Bello looks around, Shell goes for him. He goes in the direction of Shell, should be a mark. Here's a mark.
Kick. What a fantastic kick, what great delivery. That's over, well, almost 50 metres, you'd say, and that ball wouldn't have gone more than 5 or 6 metres off the ground. Fantastic kick. And Daniel Shelley's second grab. Andrews again just been caught at 1 or so metres. That's tough. No defender in the competition is going to be able to get a hand on that kick.
Big contrast with what happened at the other end of the ground, where Port went for Evans and Central's had the men back. Shell leans back on the kick. No problems for the SANFL's leading goal kicker. He's got 1-1 already this afternoon.
Well, that's the start. The signs looking a little bit ominous at the moment for Port Adelaide. They need to start winning the football through the middle, and like we said, when they go forward, they need to get Evans out in space, one-on-one, rather than being double-teamed or triple-teamed even as he did going forward. Daniel Shell's a lovely kick of the football. Great hands, great delivery to Daniel Shell, and the start that Central Districts are after.
Looking at getting a bit of a suntan today, Daniel Shell. It's quite warm at Elizabeth Oval. He's had the long sleeves for most of the season.
early days, but Central's 11 marks, 21 possessions. Port no marks, 5 possessions.
They're a poor marking side. They're just with 55. They're 8th in the competition for marks. So long kick by Brett Eben on his non-preferred. Target was Archie. Ball thumped away beautifully by Off to Hide. Foot race, Brown there, along with Tyson Hay. You'll get plenty of physicality from this Doggies unit. And Tyson Hay, there's Tony Brown. The number 2, Tyson Hay for the Bulldogs, has been in sensational form this year. 14 points the difference in favour of the Doggies, going for their 4th straight minor round premiership. Biarchi worked to the line by Chris Gowans.
Yeah, he had to give the shepherd there, Chad Davis. He gave the handball off. Had to give that. See you next week. Special time of 2 o'clock, half an hour early. We've got Port and West. Should be a great game.
Well, if the Maggies can get over the line today, that will be a crucial match. Hay shares it with Thomas. Thomas, that is a risky kick, but it's well done by Off to Hide. Archie arriving just a fraction late. Too much in it, and Off to Hide will clear for the Dogs.
Interesting, the umpire in there and Payne holding the man rather than the mark, which I thought was taken. Never mind, it doesn't matter. Central's with possession. Hay running it out. Looks down to half forward. Cowan, strong, took the ball to the ground. Maybe distracted a little bit by Funk coming across the front. Now Funk hands it off. Biarchi got it to half forward. That was late from McDougall, and that whistle was late. And the umpire in Richard Williams coming in and adjudicating a free kick to Heath Hopwood.
There's a poor decision there. Brett Eben was on his own in the middle. Had to look inside.
Hopwood short. Curry can look across the ground. He's got a couple free. One of them is Graham. Graham looks to switch it to the other side of play. Chris Gowans is the target. Set him a task. Gowans won't get there on the full, and the bounce beats him as well. Working hard, Port Adelaide. Well, loose hand pass. Symes gets it across to Slade, inside 50. Shallow takes another mark. They are just so deadly efficient when they get the ball, Centrals.
Unstoppable. No defender, I said it before, no defender is going to be hard to stop that, get a fist on that. Well, the young guy in Andrews, he needs to maybe make a decision. Does he start playing Daniel Shaw in front? He's been beaten 3 times now in the lead. He's given him a metre or so. Maybe he starts playing that 3 or 4 metres in front of him, takes the risk of the ball getting kicked over the top.
This one will be kicked over the top, right to the square. Wait on the goal umpire. I think he's satisfied. This is another goal to Central District. Great start. Port Adelaide without a score on the board. Central's 3-2-20.
Well, Matthew Knights has got a big decision. Does he leave the young guy in Andrews there? He's backed him in at the start of the day. Does he leave him on there now on Daniel Shell, who's taken 3 marks, kicked 2 goals? Or does he mix it up? Does he throw Andrews out to half back and put someone else back there? Who knows? Maybe a Craig Parry can come from up forward and go back and stand on Daniel Shell, use that body strength, but wouldn't have the speed, I wouldn't think.
A bit tough on the young bloke. Centre square infringement. It'll go the way of the Doggies. They've won 16 of 18 first terms, and they're headed that way again. Schooler knocked it down. James Wilson tackled by Symes. Bello worked his way into the contest. Hopwood. Bello backs it up again. Taken by Davis. Didn't have the footy. That ball had gone, and he was still hanging on. Bello got it away to Thomas. Thomas long. The target's Cowan. And getting in and taking a nice mark was Clayton.
Their first mark.
Good grab.
First mark of the day. Amazing. We've gone 11 minutes in the first term. Clayton kicks to the wing. Getting a nudge was Archie. It's against Sivanala. Ball's got to come back.
That should be a good matchup.
Archie's got to fox it again. Ben.
So that should be a great matchup to watch. Corey Archie playing up forward. He's been more accustomed to playing down back, full back. Should be a really good contest there.
Archie's kick, and there's been an infringement.
Another push, I think.
Another push. And it's coming back to Off to Hide.
Michael, Matty Knight's already recognising the dominance that Central have in the ruck with Paul Schooler. Nick Butler's come off the ground. Craig Parry into the ruck to try and stop this avalanche of goals.
Yeah, good work, Mark. That's a good decision, I think, by Knights. He really does need to shuffle it around a bit. Nothing much working. 20 plays, zip, and that kick's not too good, but Clayton has taken the mark, but it was out of bounds on the full. So the Dogs usually pretty good with precision. Have a look at this mark, and out of bounds on the full.
Just got helped into the fence. see that.
That fence was looming very quickly. Kicked by Clayton carries the pack. Sibanala wants a kind bounce and gets it. She uses Hopwood, and he's just got enough time to casually sum up the situation. Handball over the top to Quentin Graham. He'll kick on his left boot. The target's Gowans. Chris Gowans works his way to the front. Oh, beautifully played, Chris Gowans. He's a class act, and Funk's not a bad player. His kick up forward's a beauty to Cowan on the lead. The Doggies, they use the football pretty well. Cowan, about 80 metres out from goal. He'll go towards Shell. Shell's going to fly in the middle of the pack. He is on song. The body language today for Daniel Shell's pretty good. Stacked time last week. He could have 3 goals in the first term, and we've only gone 12 and a half minutes.
There was a lovely shepherd on the wing here as Chris Gowans turned his player inside out. Bradley Symes got in the way, held him off and allowed Chris Gowans to look and hit the target up the ground. And again, Daniel Shell showing his dominance in the air. The young guy in Andrews unable at the moment to go with him.
Well, this kick's probably the easiest one he's had for goal from 25. No mistake. Is Daniel Shell headed for a big bag this afternoon. He's got 3.
There's an important change going to the boundary too there, Siders.
Yeah, Nick Butler coming back onto the ground. He's going to go up forward. Paul Evans coming off, so Parry's still in the ruck.
Thanks for that, Mark. That's a big change, bringing Evans, who you'd think has been their spearhead over the last few years. They need someone up forward to take some grabs, so look, going for the taller option in Butler, maybe to mix it up. But I think their problems at the moment are obviously down back. Who do they put on to Daniel Shell?
Daniel Shell virtually did nothing for 3 quarters at Adelaide last week. Kicked 2 in the last quarter. This week he's started on fire, and so have the Dogs. There's a hit of spring in the air. It's finals time approaching, and Centrals have popped up and said, what about us? Ball into the Port Adelaide forward line. Oh, Ebert just turned the wrong way at the wrong moment, and Brad Curry got him and gave him some curry. Directs the ball wide to Thomas. Off half back, plenty of room to move. Don't want to do this to Central District. Nobody came at him. He was able to take his space and then go to Cowan. Beautiful delivery again. Cowan slips around, confident, on the left foot, inside 50. Shell would have been the target, you'd think, but it was Dew in there. Got a hand up, forces his way through the pack, off the left foot, close to goal. What's the bounce like? Daniel Shell, perhaps a little unlucky. And the Port fans would say, well, we deserve some luck after the start we've had.
Good strength by Stuart Dew to hold his feet, push through the pack, and Daniel Shell agonisingly close, just watching that one bounce through from behind.
Central's only been inside 57 times, but they've scored every one of them. 4 goals, 3.
Couple of behinds to Dew as Funk finds Feagit at half-back. They're under pressure. They're under siege at the moment, the Magpies. Feagit's kick to King is OK, but Stewie Dew's got him corralled.
Just holding them up, just making them just take their time, and therefore it's not as open up the ground as they go forward. 4 times Corey Archie's gone for a grab, and 4 times the football's gone over the back. You've got to, as a forward, bring it forward if you're on balls to hit up on, so then you can have some chance at running onto the ball and kicking a goal.
When they want to close you down, they can do anything. The Dogs kick down the line, might be a turnover. Davis couldn't get it. Archie in tough. So too Slade. Big pack of players around this football. Hopwood, as usual, with plenty of aggression. Ball up. Well, the Dogs have really cleared out in this first turn. They lead by 27 points. Port haven't had much of a sniff of it, although they've gone in 4 times inside 50. They haven't been able to score. Brown ducked the head. The tackle came, and a free kick will go for over the shoulder. Umpire Richard Williams officiating. It will go to Krieg.
Port being out bustled around the football at the moment. Their game is that physical game, and at the moment Central Districts are showing them how to do it.
Krieg's kick just to a contest. Beautifully done by James Gowans. Who's he got the kick to? Spears it looking for Cowan. Feagit got a hand on it. Ball slipped through Symes. Well done. Taken by Gowans again. He kicks a good left footer, and Shell can't hold on. The crumbs go to Swatala. Handball over the top, looking for Shell. Can't quite get there. Oh, Daniel. He's got 4. And when you're hot, you're hot. And the Dogs are red hot at the moment, Ben.
No doubt about that, Michael. Daniel Shell is such a confidence player, and I've got the feeling his confidence to be right up. 4 goals in the first quarter. We see lucky Daniel Shell to get on the end of this one, but Central Districts again just bustling it forward. 3 players here. The handball could have gone either way. He could have even turned around and kicked the goal himself. There's Sibnala and Daniel Shell getting on the end of it. The easiest of goals as a full forward. You take everyone you can get, and Daniel Shell just lengthening that margin on the goal-kicking ladder.
Well, they try and work it through the middle again, Port Adelaide. Parry lost possession. Centrals will go forward again. Di Pasquale brought the ball to ground, then he brought Gowans to ground. Umpire said play on. Funk gets it away. And they work it through the middle to King. Here's where they've struggled. Barely been able to go inside 50.
Cough this up.
Well, they almost do again. They do. Funk with the, or rather, Fitzgerald with the loose hand pass. And now Centrals move it slickly through their numbers that they have behind the ball. Curry goes wide, under pressure, but still able to find his man in Hopwood. Hopwood looks up. The chip is on. Krieger's away, down towards half forward. Cowan running hard. All he's had to do is run backwards and forwards across that half forward line on a lead, and he's been hit every time bar one. On that particular occasion, the ball out of bounds.
You can just see the confidence that Central Districts have in each other. They're used to playing with each other. They've got such a solid team, such a solid unit. When they're on the ground, they just back each other in. They've got that bit of time, I guess, every time they get a hold of the football because of the fact they've got the confidence in each other.
Parry slapped it down. Slap it down to the right man, though. Central's inside 50 again. Fegert leads to the ball, misses it. Oh, this will go again for Shell. No. Just thinking that James Gowans was going to pick up that ball and hand pass it off to Shell for another walk-in goal. Ball in dispute. Finally, the umpire will come in and we'll get a ball up just 25 metres out from the Central's goals. What a start. 33 plays zip. Ball down. Parry. Cowan did well to get the advantage. Knock it his way. And then off the ground was Slade. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's too simple for the Central District side at the moment.
Port Adelaide need to do something. Matthew Knights has to throw a couple of changes here. They're losing the ball out of the centre. Central Districts are running it forward too easily. You see there, just pushing the ball forward. The young guy in Andrews there overrunning the football again. It's a big ask for a young guy to come into a football team, play full back on Daniel Shell, the lead goal kicker. Port Adelaide need something to happen here for them. That's a good run out of the centre.
They're all getting a football lesson at the moment. Biachi kicks to Evans, who didn't take the mark as Biachi was dealt with after he kicked the football. And Paul Evans, we know he can kick long distances. And he'll have a shot for goal. A rotation down there, so does theirs. Matthew Knights, who's...
Yeah, Michael, the round of applause there for the work of Paul Sculler, who has been dominant, giving his runners first use of the ball. He's coming off for a break. Big buckets, Jason McKenzie slid into the forward line and will ruck.
Number 18 for the Magpies, Paul Evans from right on the paint of 50. Long kick is a good kick. The Magpies are on the board. We know Evans can kick long, but he can also kick very straight. That's a terrific kick, and boy, an understatement. They needed that one.
They certainly needed that one. That just gives them a little bit of a steadier. If Port Adelaide can get another goal or two in the end of this quarter, then they've got something to build on. Evans, that's what surprised me before when Matthew Knights pulled Evans onto the boundary. Evans is their spearhead forward. The ball hadn't really got to him. And obviously Matthew Knights just wanting to say something or get a little message to him. He's back out there now, and a lovely kick from outside 50.
Well, Port Adelaide almost through Davis to Parry, and the hand pass back to Di Pasquale. Just under pressure, as you'd expect. A lot of confidence in the Bulldogs lineup at the moment, but gee, a long way back for them. 33 points the margin.
That's what happens. Di Pasquale just dropping the football there. That little fumble under pressure by Central Districts.
Now, this is more like the opening we expected. Just everybody in tight and the ball not able to be paddled out in any direction. It's shuffled about 15 metres from the centre bounce, or the centre ball up, as we have in the SANFL. Di Pasquale on his left foot, belts it inside 50. Bounce will be interesting. Off the high, judged at best. Off the right foot, Butler, or rather Symes. Nice take. Then across the centre, he's got Graham. Graham's got another couple of players on this side. One of them is Thomas. He goes longer than that. He goes to Gowans. Thomas will flank him. Gowans doesn't use him. Chris Gowans, this is inside 50 with the kick. Shell again. Just made his way to the ball. Fegert put a lot of pressure on him, but Shell was able to shake it off. And inside 50 with the kick now, Daniel Shell. This is James Gowans. Got one high, umpire said play on. Round on the left foot. Bread and butter really for a man of this sort of skill. And commentators naturally put the curse on him.
Yeah, Daniel Shell, the new opponent we saw there, Nigel Fegert going with him. You wouldn't expect that from Gowans to kick out in the full, and he was obviously disappointed in that.
Cameron Islets has kicked to half-back. Free kick will go to Ebert. One of his rare touches, Brett Ebert, Ian Mogridge.
Yes, Michael, this will be his third. Or fourth, even.
Under pressure, Ian Mogridge came up with the stat. Kicks to the wing. Archie, that's a strong mark. Or did the umpire pay it? I think he might have done. Did he pay a free kick for a push? He might have paid the mark. Archie looking for Evans. Up to high, did well. Fitzgerald just let the ball run straight past him. In goes Clayton. Ball just kicked off the ground. Sibanala thought he dropped the footy. No free kick. Hey, happy to take it to the line. Biachi just slings him to the ground. Game starting to hot up a bit. Port might just be having a bit of a reassessment. A little bit more aggression. It's a good mark by Archie.
It's a good jump. Kept the eyes on it the whole time. That's what Port Adelaide need to do. Get a bit more physical around the ball. Start giving Centrals a bit back what they're giving out.
Need something to work for them on the scoreboard as well. As Hay happy to see it trickle to the line. 39 plays 6. Evans the only goal kicker for the Magpies. Daniel Shell, what an opening quarter for him. 4 goals. Terrific start to the SANFL leading goal kicker. At the back, thumped away by Parry, only as far as Thomas. Ebert just worked him to the line beautifully, had nowhere to go. Was that deliberate? Umpire said no, throw it back in.
There was good dominance in ruck shown by Craig Parry there. He's a strong boy, he can get his hand on it, but then he hit it to nobody. He hit it into space, yes, but there wasn't anyone ready for it. He needs to be communicating a bit better with his on-ballers.
This time McKenzie comes over the top and Parry takes it. Now is that out of the ruck contest? No, says the umpire.
Neil Elijah Ware straight onto the ground for Adam Swatala. He's gone to half forward and his speed will test 19-year-old Daniel Lees.
McKenzie and Parry go at it again and neither gets anywhere near the ball. A couple of toe pokes later and the ball's near the boundary. Still they struggle. And the umpire will come in and separate the boys as they have a little bit of a push and shove. And a little bit of fun on the boundary line in front of the Centrals faithful. You hear the Go You Dogs chant starting up. McKenzie just palms it down. 3 Port Adelaide players spoil each other. McKenzie says, let's have a throw in.
Yet again, lack of voice there, lack of understanding amongst the on-ballers for Port Adelaide. They need to work that out. Craig Parry's doing well in ruck. He's jumping over the top, he's getting his hands on it. Then the on-ballers, they need to talk to each other.
Tony Brown just having a quiet whisper in the ear of Parry in this contest. McKenzie brings it down to Chris Gowans. Slick hand pass, Curry, and then Hopwood off the left foot. Well done by the speedster in Ware. Just pushed it forward. Still they go forward, Centrals. Dew used his strength, got possession. Chris Gowans, or rather James it is, and off, out in front of goal, and this time it's Cowan who's moved in a rotation down to full forward. Led out, took the ball in front of his eyes. Beautiful kick by James Gowans.
Central Districts showing their silky smooth skills. Stuart Dew, great composure, got a hold of it, found the target in James Gowans. And James Gowans, that is a fantastic kick on his right foot. He straightened himself up, put it out in front, and Cowan ran onto it beautifully and should go back and nail this for Central Districts.
And he has done. So Centrals just push it out. 39 points again, as it was at the 19-minute mark. It's out to 39 points again.
We see the way Central Districts run the ball. Stuart Dew got between 3 Port Adelaide players there. They all lost sight of the football. There's that kick from Gowans that was just unstoppable. And Central Districts are killing Port Adelaide through the centre at the moment. Craig Parry needs to jump up, get a hand on it again.
I wonder, has anyone told the Magpies if they win a game or two, they might make the 5. They've been slaughtered in this first term by the Dogs. They go forward again. Symes, Wilson wants to cut back inboard, decided better of it, got it to Di Pasquale. His short kick is just nowhere near good enough. They turn it over again, out of bounds on the full.
Michael, the change has been made for Port. Nigel Fegert has gone on to Daniel Shell. Mitchell Andrews on to Cowan. So unfortunately Andrews has now had 5 goals kicked on him with that one by Cowan. But in fairness to the youngster, the delivery has been superb.
Thanks, Mark. Lees will get a free kick for over the shoulder against Shell. I'm sure Nigel Fegert will wear him just a little bit closer. There's young Lees.
Again, it worries me though, Fegert. I don't think he'll be able to go with speed with Daniel Shell, so he has to read the football.
I don't think anyone can go with the midfield of Centrals the way they deliver the ball to Shell. It's a tough ask for any defender. Front the square, Gowans shares it with Graham. Graham loads up a left footer, hoping for a mark. Well, they get a mark all right, but this time it's Di Pasquale. They got it to Funk. Funk shares it with Biaggi. Siren goes. Sensational first term by Central District. A 7-goal-to-1 term. There's Daniel Shell, the star of it all, birding 4. At quarter time, the Doggies 7-3, 45 have blitzed Port 1 goal straight, 6.
Thanks, Michael. Well, it wasn't the start we expected. We thought Port, with everything to play for, a final spot on the line, would come out and throw everything they could at Central Districts. But Centrals, they knew that. They probably went with it, and they have just outpowered, outrun, outclassed in every single aspect in that first quarter, Port Adelaide Football Club. So, Port Adelaide with a lot to do. Matthew Knights, what changes will he throw for next quarter? How will he try and reverse this run, I guess, and this dominance of Central Districts for that first quarter? We have a look at the leading goal kicker, Daniel Shell, 4 goals. And for Port Adelaide, on the other hand, Evans with their single and their only scoring shot for the quarter.
And as we look at that, just 21 kicks in the opening quarter for Port Adelaide.
Well, that is such a telling statistic. They haven't got their hands on the football enough. We've seen that. It's been so obvious they haven't got their hands on the football, and they're letting Central Districts run with the football far too easily, and that's the problem. I mean, Central Districts getting their hands on the football and then not enough pressure doing what they'd like with it.
Well, time to have another lesson from Michael Maney. Here's Maney's view.
Thanks, Neil. Well, last week we took a look at the tribunal and some of the inconsistencies we've seen over the last couple of years. Well, this week I thought we'd take a look at the umpires, seeing that Brenton Phillips gave them a real spray. Well, the biggest issue that I can see in this football season so far is the old chestnut of dragging the ball in at ground level, the offending player getting a free kick paid against him. I think the umpires have got an enormous difficulty with this one, as they are often blindsided. The decision to throw the ball up instead of bouncing has been a real winner. This has given the game more flow, and ruckmen can rely on their positioning for the tap. Now, if this rule's persisted with, perhaps the AFL might take a look at it. And to finish up, I had a chat with umpires boss Shane Harris last week in regard to any possible penalties that the umpires get if they don't report players. Well, I can tell you what, they can receive a penalty of 2 weeks if they don't report players. Well, I think the umpires do a pretty good job at SANFL level. That's my view. I'm Michael Maney.
Michael Maney, interesting. Umpires do a fair job. Always the supporters will disagree depending on whether they're up or down. Well, down to Port Adelaide's huddle, and you can imagine that there might be a few strong words down there.
No doubt. Look, Matthew Knight's got to take it one way or the other. Does he give them an absolute rev up and tell them what's been going on? You know, you're not getting your hands on the football. Or does he say, OK, let's get ourselves going now. We know we can play a lot better than this, and gets that controlled sort of atmosphere. I think that's more what Matthew Knights might go for.
That shaggy-haired individual in the middle there was Tony Bamford, who was doing the talking to some of the players there, and now Matthew Knights, no doubt, pointing out, well, some of the issues, but also some of the positional changes that he'll want to be making. And I think as much as his anger and the position changes that he wants to make would contribute to the fact that he doesn't want us to listen.
No, that's it. He's told us that in no uncertain terms he doesn't want us to get the camera in there at the moment. So Matthew Knights trying to get these troops back, reorganised, and we'll see. So I think there is someone down the boundary though who has been listening to a few words.
Yes, so does what have you managed to glean from Matthew Knights and his troops?
Well, Neil, the signs aren't good for the Maggies. Centrals are just about irresistible at the moment. Matthew Knights came straight down, had a chat to Brett Ebert. Brett Ebert's been playing on Paul Thomas, playing a couple of metres forward of him. Thomas really mopping up beautifully along half-back, which he has done for the past 2 seasons. So Matty Knights has asked him just to play tight. He said, when you're back here in the SANFL, you just got to play shoulder to shoulder with him. He's actually quite composed, Knights, and he's just slowly going around to individual players, perhaps just reminding them about the particular plans that he set at the start of the game. They're not being followed, but quite subdued, really, the Port huddle, and you'd probably expect so, wouldn't you, Neil?
Well, subdued as in put down. That's what they've been at the moment, haven't they? And, well, Centrals, it was all Centrals in the opening quarter, wasn't it? Matthew Krieg started the ball rolling. He kicked 2 last week in the first quarter against Sturt, and this afternoon got on the end of delivery. And
Well,
it's been the difference.
Exactly right. You have a look in these highlights at the delivery to the Central District forwards. Each kick has just come in low, hard and quickly. I mean, quickly is the key. It's come in so quickly that the Port Adelaide defenders can't flood that. They can't get it in the way. They can't block it up. And Daniel Shell getting on the end of it is having a field day at the moment.
Yes, and you mentioned, look, there's another one low down there. Not much you can do as a defender when your forward's leading at a rate and the ball's placed beautifully in front of them.
No, it comes down to the midfield. Port Adelaide midfield isn't putting enough pressure on the ball carriers. You see again there, Gowans going forward, putting it out in front. The quick turn here, and one-on-one, Daniel Shell over the top, another strong grab.
It's Craig Parry doing that.
Well, I think he's been thrown to the ruck, so he's trying to go on back and, yes, looking the wrong way, you'd almost think, and should have made a bit more of a contest in that respect.
See, they've had every answer, haven't they, Centrals? Amazingly, with the Doggies having so many players behind the ball when the defensive action's required, they force themselves forward and they've got players in front of the ball as well.
They do. They back themselves in to win the football, but that doesn't mean they all just play attacking football. They don't all run forward. So if they don't run forward, that means they're going to be around the football. They're going to be able to push it forward when they can actually get a hold of it, and that's the way they've played so far.
And Sodas, you're on the boundary.
Yeah, I am with the player the Port would love to have out there, Ricky O'Loughlin. Ricky, for a game where you really need to win, it's been a disappointing start.
Yeah, for sure. Doggies really gave us a footy lesson that first quarter there, you know, presenting up at the ball, whereas we didn't. So, you know, we've just got to make sure we get back to those basics and really present at the ball.
And you pulled up pretty sore after the match, no chance of risking it today?
Yeah, no, just sore during training during the week, so just thought we'd give it a rest, hopefully next week.
Thanks for your time, Ricky.
Well done, Sodas. Roy Laird coming off the ground would be obviously well pleased with his side so far. And we're just about set for a start of the second term. There's been so much scoring, you lose track. Here's Michael Money.
Ronnie Neal, what an opening quarter by Central District. They have dominated this match so far. No breeze to speak of, perfect conditions. Second quarter underway, round 21 of the SANFL. Schooler and Butler. Schooler got it down. Di Pasquale rode the bump beautifully. Kicks to half forward, and there's a good mark by Curry. They keep coming up with these players, Centrals. They can fill the gaps. Graham kicks it long. Krieg at the back, Cowan at the front. Well done, Andrews, his first real clear possession. Over to Biaggi. Biaggi had a little bit of it in that first term. He kicks long, good lead, good mark taken by Ebert. That'll give him plenty of confidence. He wheels around onto that left boot, spears the kick, and that's a beauty. The mark taken by Butler at half forward. Got it away to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald kicks it long. Archie with courage, taken by Brown. Handball over the top. Evans had it spent. Well done. The Doggies are out of trouble. Swatala in a bit of space. Nothing going right for the Magpies at the moment. James Gowans just gave his opponent a nudge and took the mark at half back. Gowans uses the ball so beautifully well. Swatala. Oh, man. In loads of space at the Ponderosa. He had a Ponderosa. Chris Gowans ran his full measure. Looks for Shell, but Cowan couldn't take the mark. Fegan gets the crumb. Just pushes off Dew. Bit of strength, looks for Butler. Butler's had a good start to this term. Short kick and spots up a teammate in Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald away, inside 50, just to a pack. Ball knocked away. Dogs will get you every time. McDowell, this way, that way. Got it back. Di Pasquale to Davis, who's been non-existent. Oh, lovely handball, Chad. It went straight to Thomas. Goodness me, what's going on? A change there. Sign's about to come on. in the box. Ball on the outer side. Andrews with a handball over the top, and the Magpies are away.
Symes perhaps not knowing where he's going, Sodas.
In a little bit of trouble, Brad Symes, straight down to the rooms, copped a heavy knock, so he's come off. He will be assessed by the medical staff. Kane Officer, who had a great game last week, onto the ground.
No change in the score from quarter time. 39 points the margin in favour of Centrals. Butler, who's started pretty well in this quarter, just getting the ball down. Davis couldn't get possession. Schooler, long way down for him. Off to Thomas. Down centre wing. Funk from behind. Just knocks it forward. Di Pasquale couldn't rove it. And Slade was there as well eventually. The ball over the line. Centre wing.
Well, it's a bit better for Port Adelaide. They've started well. They've gone forward a couple of times. Central Districts haven't been able to go forward just yet. You know, they've just got to get their hands on the football. That's the first key thing about this game. They just haven't had their hands on the football through that first quarter.
Hay went the bump. Biaggi went the ball. Got it down to half forward. Well done by Archie. Slick hand pass of sorts. It found Brown. Brown's look away. Didn't find one of his own players. And cleared by Graham. 2-on-1 here. Wilson does well. Does very, very well. Does exceptionally well. Got it out to Brown. Short little kick. Effective in the end to McDowell. Off he goes to Wilson, who started it. Wilson run down. Umpire calls play on. Quentin Graham can clear it. And Graham clears it to the far side of the ground. Wonderful kick in front of Chris Gowans. Trapped it brilliantly. Later Shepherd after handball passing off to Bello. Bello's left footer was down for Cowan. And all of a sudden, Central's just falling a metre short on their kicks.
Cameron Eilert almost ran all the way across to the bench. Did you see that, Sodas?
Yes, Benny was heading over for a little bit of information, just passing it on there, but he's back on, mate, no problems here.
That little kick by Tony Brown was the first one either he or Chad Davies have had today.
Brad Symes, the man who copped it there. Dogs go forward. Shell, he's booted 4. Fegan with strength. And Lees decided to concede a rush behind. Possibly the best thing in that situation there.
I think that was the option. Start again. The way Central's been going, and the ball's just been falling their way as well. That's a good, strong grab.
Fitzgerald hands it off. They're trying to create some run. Davis, his kick to Archie under pressure. Archie 2 grabs. Umpire calls play on. McDowell can give it inside, not quite effectively, and then slaps it forward to Fitzgerald. Didn't have space to work in. Curry shut him down. Sibanala now for Centrals. Switala, and then Graham clears it nicely. Hay shares it with James Gowans. Approaches the centre square. Goes long. And a great kick from James Gowans. Just laid it over the top of the Centrals player into the path of Bello, who took the mark. Awkward kick off his right foot inside 50. Shows the confidence of Centrals prepared to do that. And look at the tackling. Shared to Bello from Dew. Goal coming up. No problem. Well, he made the umpire do some work, Marco Bello. But it's still a goal. And Centrals are doing it on the bit.
That's great team play. Stuart Dew, look, he's got everything to play for today. He's trying to put his name back up for AFL selection. Stuart Dew turned on his left foot. He could have snapped the goal. He probably would have kicked, you know, he kicked 99 out of 100 of those goals, but instead gave the handball out. He looked at the goals and thought, no, I'll give the handball. A great finish, and Central Districts, the juggernaut rolls on as we see another change down their Sodas.
Tony Bamford onto the ground. He snuck into the back line there to try and stop some more Central's goals, and he's replaced Ross Funk.
They've still got 18 on the field. I think they need about 25 at the moment, Port, as Hay goes forward for the Dogs, looks for Krieg. Krieg's high kick, hoping for a mark. Shell can't get a run at it. In goes Chris Gowans, booted off the ground by Nigel Fegat. Schooler went to ground. His opposite number in Butler wants a good bounce. Handball chopped off by Hopwood. And the ball tucked underneath.
Well done, Heath Hopwood. He ran from about 40 metres away, knowing the ball was bouncing and bobbling around, and he managed to put the pressure, get the handball and block that handball over the top.
Fitzgerald. In goes Davis. And I think that's Officer in the bottom of that, as Craig Parry has a spell. He's got a bit of strapping around the right knee, right leg in general. Butler, good leap. Davis can't get it clear. Schooler at ground level is good to James Gowans. Got a call from Hay. Hay will load up a long kick. Shell will get back. Can't take the mark. Front and square. Chris Gowans. Lovely work by Bamford. Only been on the ground for a couple of seconds. Taken by Shell. James Gowans shut the gate. Just the Bulldog machine whirling up for the final.
Isn't that exactly right, Michael? They are playing superb football. See, Daniel Shell brought it down front and centre. Chris Gowans couldn't get a hand on it. Bamford did well.
I was staring at the crowd.
But then snuck it out of there. James Gowans, lovely finish. Could have even given the handball and shared it round. But look, Central Districts, confidence plus. That's what they are, confidence personified.
James Gowans, busiest player on the ground, 9 kicks, 3 handballs.
And straight out of the middle again, this time from Thomas, belts it long, looking for Shell. And the ball to the front row, brilliantly by Krieg, minor score under pressure.
The speed for Krieg to take that ball out of the air off the crumb and then put it to foot, fantastic. That's what you want in an on-baller, someone with that speed and the ability to get a hold of the football before it's even bounced off the pack.
Knightsy, I've got a report from the medical staff at Central. They've given Brad Symes the thumbs up, so we should see him back on soon.
That's good news for Brad Symes. Not good news for Port Adelaide. Wilson, now he's run into a bit of trouble here. Bamford just with the donut, finds Brown. No system, the Magpies. His kick just to a contest and a pack. Over the back, rode by Archie, ducked the head. It spills to McDowell. McDowell's high kick, hoping for Evans. Off the high, did okay. Central's
Chris
work
Gowans
it
in
up.
the middle.
Lovely work.
And Stuart
Jew further afield. Just on his bootlaces, Stewie. It's just a Saturday afternoon stroll for the Dogs at the moment. Jew just off a step, loads it up about 60 metres to Shell. Well, so casual, yet so precise. He does it so often. Shell's got 4, and he's going to load up a big one from 50. Long kick by Shell, just didn't quite get it, and scuffed it away to the right, behind. What about the kick from Stewie Jew?
Off one step, you always tell the young kids, when you get a mark, get back off the mark. Get back quickly, take 2 or 3 steps, run into the football. But then Stewie Jew put everyone to shame, all these young coaches to shame. Off one step, kicks it 55, 60 metres, right onto the chest of Daniel Shell.
Clayton with possession out towards half back, and that was awful from Brett Ebert. Would be very disappointed when he looks back on that. Better from Eilert, put pressure on. Still it springs to Central's. Hay, Hopwood, and then Officer from 45 metres, question of accuracy, and of course, no problems for Central Districts. They can just finish the job so well. And they finished the job this afternoon. Well, they've started the job, but let's face it, it's all over. They're really, really killing the Magpies.
They are. Port Adelaide just need to put the clamps on somehow. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do it. Matthew Knights, I don't think he's even sure how he's going to do it. The on-ballers, we saw Brett Ebert. You know, is he a bit underdone, do you think, at the moment, Neil?
Oh, I'm not qualified to say that. But certainly that wasn't good from Brett. And obviously, I think, like a lot of Port players at the moment, he's probably lacking confidence.
He looks a frustrated man to me. Chris Gowans. Krieg just waited for it to bounce. This is looking like a massive win to the Dogs. Bamford, hard to Clayton. Eilert ducked the head, got through some pretty
well done,
difficult traffic. Bit of a bright spot. There's Ebert coming off the ground. McDowell away to Fitzgerald. They go inside 50. Evans can't take the mark. Quentin Graham.
Nobody out here.
Dogs defence. Well, Brian Hereda, he retired part of the way through this season, and they've lost nothing at all. Officer takes the mark. There's Luke Cowan. He got a bit of leather poisoning, Luke. He's had a fair bit of it.
It's a good move, Michael. Luke Cowan coming off the ground. Elijah Ware now on, and young Mitchell Andrews now giving away a lot of speed to Ware. This could be a good move by Roy Laird to get a quick goal.
Thomas finds the last goal kicker in Officer, who kicks to half forward. Not a good kick this time. taken by James Wilson, who had a bounce and backed himself. That was okay. Now he's got to get the kick right, and that is where they've fallen down. They've popped the ball up consistently. We got the amount of turnovers would be incredible. Sibanala, there's a rare mistake.
Still time though, isn't he?
Plenty of time. Got around King just casually.
Oh, coughs it up.
Give him a rap. They'll let you down. Davis got it to Evans. Now Evans is going to hoof it from about 60. He decides to go in short. His kick's no good. Bello gets Di Pasquale out of the way, and Di Pasquale will get a free kick. No, he won't.
Pulled him down.
Marco.
Yeah, he pulled Marco Bello down there. Marco Bello put a good shepherd on and got pulled down off the football. They'll have to go back. Umpire not happy. You see here, Bello put the pull, and then the jumper. Di Pasquale pulled him down after the shepherd. A little bit touchy, you think, Michael?
Well, if the rule's there, I suppose. Here's Curry. Don't want to be going into Maney's view, but I reckon some of the problems of the AFL are because they try and interpret rules instead of just applying them. Here's Jew, approaching half forward, just opts for the little soft wedge there, up the shell, inside 50, Gowans, back in Chris. Just had position on Tony Bamford, who looks around and thinks, how did that happen? Tony Bamford played in a premiership for Port Adelaide. It seems such a long time ago.
It's a while before he plays another one.
Well, isn't that the truth? I think the way they're going at the moment, they haven't got a hope of making the finals this year.
Goal for Chris Gowans. The Gowans boys keeping up with each other. They have one apiece.
Have a look at the kick coming in. Daniel Shell up the ground. A great kick over the back. Put the length, put the leg through it. Tony Bamford snuck a little one in there on Chris Gowans. But Gowans not too fussed about it because he's going to go back and kick a goal and extend the Central District's lead out to a whopping margin.
Promising. Let's face it, if he hasn't snuck one in, Chris Gowans, he'll sneak one in later anyway. Sorry, right. Sodas go.
A promising start by Nick Butler at that second turn, but he's now off the ground. Parry back in the ruck.
66 clickety-click. That's the lead to the Dogs.
Gone.
Hopwood just buffeted off it, and the umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt and will ball it up. 14.5 minutes gone. 66-point lead to the Doggies. Fitzgerald kicks it high. Graham couldn't reel it in. In goes Hay. Good tackle by Mann. Curry somehow.
Too easy.
Just away to Hopwood, who slipped it quietly to Thomas.
Look at the numbers in the middle.
Have a look at the runners. Watala shares it with Gowans. Where's the lead coming from? It's coming from little Elijah! Oh, the little white boots were pumping, and he took the mark, and he'll boot from 48. Or will he play on? They're queuing up. Oh, and a man on Swatala. Kick was smothered. Well done by Port. Andrews away. Brown's short kick. Spots up King, probably about the only thing that's gone wrong for the Dogs today. Feagit looks for and can't find Evans. 2-on-1. Hopwood, this Dogs defence is outstanding. As off the hide, finds Slade.
James Gowans on the wing.
Further on, he's got James Gowans running onto the football.
Kick doesn't quite get there. Gowans makes pretty much of it. Well, that could have been throwing the ball. Umpire called play on. Bello off the ground, or in midair at least twice.
Look at the numbers
got it
now.
Forward. And again, forward of the play. Central's had numbers. Swatala's kick was brilliant over the top of Shell. Bamford now with a chance to clear against Chris Gowans. Bamford looks out. They try and switch it. They've got numbers. Brown is ahead of the play if they can see him. Tony Brown puts up his hand. Finally, it'll get to him. Officer comes. Pressure on. Brown dropped the ball and then was held. That was fortunate. Brown quickly off. That was a bad decision. Wilson in trouble. Centrals will be happy. They've got a free kick right in front of the main grandstand. And the sun is shining on the Centrals parade here at Elizabeth this afternoon.
This is just indecision at its best. Port Adelaide under pressure. Great pressure from Central Districts. Holding the ball forward. We've got another change with Daniel Shell. He's got his third opponent for the day. Corey Archie has gone on to him.
Officer's short. And receives a 1-2. Gives it to Slade. Slade inside 50. High. Ware from behind. Flies. Well done by the young man at the front there. And Andrews got it away. And Port Adelaide clear their defensive area. They've been under siege. And fortunately, the line means that the ball will be thrown back in and they'll get an opportunity to reload. Sodas.
No, nothing down there on the boundary, Sodas. How's that microphone working?
Centrals, everything's working for Centrals. They flicked the ball into the middle. Hopwood was aware of what was coming. Got it off to Hay again. Slipping forward at the play. This time it was Chris Gowan's turn. Shell signals. Get it up here. Archie and Shell. Good battle. Fegut's gone to centre half forward. Archie gone back to a regular position. It doesn't change anything because Officer slots one off the ground. And you'd be pretty happy if you were playing, say, oh, I don't know, Olympic football to put that one in.
Well, that's his second. A nice sort of soccer kick off the ground there. Daniel Shell making a great contest. And then following up the second effort, Officer off the ground, and very happy with that. You see Corey Archie battling. That'd be a good matchup, strength-wise. Archie's reasonably quick as well. More accustomed to playing as a full-back than I think a centre-half forward. And we saw in the first quarter and a half, Corey Archie run under a number of balls. Didn't really take any strong grabs at centre-half forward. Wait, sorry, he took one strong grab at centre-half forward, but Port need him down back.
We're not at half-time yet, and it's a 72-point lead. Brett Ebert's been cooling the heels on the bench. About to come back on, and he wouldn't have had 10 possessions so far, Brett Ebert.
No, he'd have 5, 3 and 2.
There you go. Thanks to Ian Mogridge. Out of congestion. Dogs go forward. Schooler given a nudge by Andrews. James Gowans. Andrews back on it. He's kept fighting hard, the young man. Clayton to Eilert. Just about caught by Ware. Got the kick away and found touch. And probably the best thing that could have happened. Throw the ball in, reset, and see if Port can get some sort of system going. They've been blown out of the water. And the faithful here at Elizabeth have been terrific. There's Ebert. And he'll be replaced. He'll replace James Wilson. Chad Davis, one of their engine room, and run out of petrol. Thomas. Ball hooked underneath. One of those tough ones. Umpires have got to adjudicate who dragged it in, who knocked it out. Comes back to Davis. Off a step. King,
Good
Graham.
use of the body.
King Graham. King Quinton, we'll call him. He has mopped it up sensationally at half-back. He can go forward and kick a goal too if he likes. Good running by Off the Hide. We just got some meterage on Evans. It's all just falling into place for the Dogs. Says Off the Hide. Stewie kicks to half forward, and the mark taken by Clayton. The target was Stewie Dew, as you were about to say.
Yeah, I was. It just didn't quite carry over the top of Stuart Dew. It's about the only one there that actually looked like a strong marking target across the half forward for Central Districts.
Lees coughs it up. And the mark taken at half back by Off the Hide, who's just working up the ground at the moment. His short kick finds Hay.
Dogs are running again through the middle. That'll be Chris Gowans. Now that was a bit sloppy. Hopwood working hard. And we'll get a ball up. So does you've fixed your problems down there?
Oh, we're back on track. I've just swapped the microphone. Someone in the crowd had one hand in. We're back in form.
Got that little switch that says on. So that's what we need.
Oh, they're Taiwanese, mate. They're written in different language. I can't work out what's on and what's off.
Well, the Dogs are on this afternoon. Davis off the left foot to Parry for Port Adelaide. Then to Brown, inside 50, Fig at the target, good mark. Just on the edge of the 50. And he'll kick from outside 50. No, he won't. He'll give it off to King. King slaps it. Bad kick. Oh, fortunate. Evans, second goal for Port Adelaide. Paul Evans has his second of the afternoon. And it's taken until, well, all but the 21-minute mark of the second quarter. And it took until the 20-minute mark of the first quarter for Port Adelaide to score their opening goal.
Come on, Neil, here we go. Port are back. They've doubled their score. They're catching up Central Districts. But will it be enough? So Evans, you used the word fortunate there. He was a bit fortunate. Popped over the back. Well finished. Can Port Adelaide get themselves back ever so slightly into this game at all? I mean, I'm not saying, sure, they're not going to obviously catch up before half-time or three-quarter time, but can they just get themselves back? They're respectable, and you never know.
Well, they're chasing a bit of respect, and Centrals are giving them none of that at the moment. Hay just kicks a long ball into Bello, who couldn't take the mark. Recovery skills okay. Ridden into the ground. Surely a free kick? No. Umpire said play on. Schooler over the top to Ware. He tried to knock it forward. Ware's got it again. Oh, too much space. Ware just jammed it on the boots. And pushed it away to the right. He looks a player, does Elijah.
He's very, very quick. He's got pretty good skills, but there he just needed to take that first one. He didn't need to sort of push it or poke it out. Only just missed. It was good recovery from Elijah Ware to get up and have a snap on goal.
Ball back in quickly to Daniel Lees. Last time he had it, he turned it over. This time, got it to Di Pasquale, who goes to Bamford. Wider still, oh, sloppy, out of bounds on the full. And we just don't want to be turning the ball over.
Pretty important change going down there, Siders.
Obviously a bit of luxury time for Central Districts. Daniel Shell just coming off for a breather, perhaps a little bit of sunburn, seeing those arms have been exposed for the first time this year, and Cowan into the forward line.
Here's Bamford again, short this time. Again, Lees off the left foot, goes short, King. Bamford's run for him. He's got a bit of space to work with. Through the middle, Port actually have a couple of players lining up. There's not been much of this run. They share it around. Clayton, well, he chooses to go wide and misses the target. Eilert looks inside, Clayton backs him up, looks up forward, drops it up, and coming late, Ebert, no, he won't get there and he won't be needed either. Just stretching over the top and taking the mark was Peter Mann.
Well, Port Adelaide looking a lot better through the middle there. They actually ran the football. Quentin Graham being taken under the ball. Graham's actually on Ebert at the moment. That's not his man, but Graham being pushed under the ball. And a good finish.
Well, no, I'm just a bit confused here. Is that 2 in a row for Port?
That is 2 in a row. 2 of their 3.
Look, I'll tell you, an interesting stat is they had 6 goals 3 on the board, Centrals, before Port scored their opening goal. Then they added 6 goals 3 after that before Port kicked their second goal.
And the pattern now, Neil?
And well, we'll get to that later.
Blown out of the water.
Well, also, it was Evans, of course, who scored those first 2 goals. And now Mann has a goal.
One of the late inclusions, Peter Mann.
Great jump, Craig Parry.
Ebert squeezed the kick out. It was a good one too. And the mark has been taken by King. Quentin Graham just won't give him a second piece. Umpire Williams right on the spot there. King got it away to Eilert, who was forced to use McDowell, who loads up a long kick, looking for Evans. He's got the sit. Well done off to High. Knocked the ball to ground. Thomas, who's really good at this stuff, mopping it up. Looks for Graham, who got a kind bounce. Just slips away. Anthony Koutafiti style, with the ball in hand. Turned it over though. Curry's got King.
A little bit too Anthony Koutafiti style, I think, there. Quentin Graham just trying to do a bit much.
Saying
been a bit pretty.
A
little bit too much finesse.
A bit leery. He doesn't quite know what to do with it. Quentin Graham's been pinged for holding the ball, so maybe he'll have to go back and reassess the way he's attacked the football in the last couple of minutes or so. Free will be taken by Eilert, but the umpire says Quentin Graham's got a nick somewhere with a bit of blood, and he'll come on toward the interchange bench. Quentin Graham. Been quite outstanding though. Hasn't made many mistakes back there.
12 kicks, 3 handballs already.
And terrific. Who's coming on, Siders?
Daniel Shell's going to get a run. We've seen him in defence for Central a couple of times this year, so he'll have no problem slotting into the back half.
Daniel Shell got the +15 on, Siders.
Certainly has. He needs a little bit of zinc on the nose, I think, or it could be a big victim of sunstroke by the end of the day.
Cameron Eilert from 70 metres. Oh, the kick. Evans would have taken that mark. What was going on? Brown just cut across. Chris Gowans. Short kick, and it's taken by Tyson Hay. Well, nothing going right for Port. No talk.
No, Anthony Brown just cut straight across Evans there. Evans is your full forward. He's leading onto the football. He would have taken the mark. Either Evans needs to call him, or the other boys around there need to talk. Tell Brown just to get out of it.
Well, sloppy. Well done by Feagert, put the pressure on. Evans a chance, ball on the ground. Evans tries to get to his feet, still the ball comes loose. Feagert should be a goal, and it is. Well, Central's maybe just a tad of overconfidence because they have been playing confident football. And now 3 in a row, 3 goals in a row for Port Adelaide. That time, Nigel Fegan, who started in the back line, with a lovely little left footer over the shoulder.
And again, though, it didn't come from the great player Port Adelaide pushing it forward. It actually came from a Central District's mistake. So the last 2 or 3 times, Central Districts have been bringing it out of their defence. They've coughed it up because they've been that over-finessing again, or trying to over-finesse. They've just got to do what they were doing in the first quarter and a half, of using the link play, then getting the kick out of defence, using their forwards.
5 goals to 3, so it's been a better quarter this time for Port Adelaide. Out of the centre they come again. Islet's kick is disappointing. Just didn't get enough of it. Hay spreads it out to the run of Optahyde, who's decided he wants to have a bit of a jog. Kicks it forward. Ware just nudged Bamford in the back. Track the football again. Ware's got to get it clean. Clayton grabs him. But it's half time as there's a bit of push and shove between Clayton and Thomas. Ware gets in there. I don't know what Elijah can do. Maybe Port should have started something like this earlier. Well, I don't know who started, so I can't point the finger. But they're having a nice bit of a push and shove. Stewie Dew decides to come in and lend some assistance. There's a very angry ant there in Matthew Slade in the middle of that. Craig Parry. Parry wouldn't be a player who's very popular down here at Centrals after he was suspended for 5 weeks for belting Josh Coulter. But it's half-time here at Elizabeth. Central Districts 12-7-79. Lead Port 4 goals straight, 24. Ben, let's have a look at those goal kickers for that first half of footy.
And thanks for that, Michael. A great half of football by Central Districts. Daniel Shell still our leading goal kicker with the 4 that he kicked in the first quarter. Officer with 2. On the other hand, for Port Adelaide, Evans with his second that quarter. Fegat and Mann with singles apiece.
And the stats, well, they've slightly evened up, I guess. Only 52 more kicks now for Central District.
I don't know what even you're working on there, Neil, but no, that's right. Central District's very dominant in terms of foot skills, and then the inside 50s, as you'd expect, 8 more than Port Adelaide.
And you would think there's a couple of Central District players that will maybe down the track head for the Hall of Fame for South Australian football. And earlier this week there was a ceremony for 10 more inductees into the Hall of Fame. And it was a great ceremony and something that the South Australian National Football League has seen fit to do since 2002.
Yeah, an excellent honour for these footballers, these past greats of the SANFL. And I guess you'd almost say it'd be the ultimate thrill and ultimate honour for these players.
Rodney Pope there, unable to accept in person due to a reunion with ex-servicemen in Vietnam. So, and of course there were also some who were accepting on behalf of people like Vic Johnson and Tony Kenny, who have since died. As we see the list there, PT Bo Morton, who has the Best and Fairest medal named after him at Sturt, one of the people also recognised on the night, along with our latter-day people and players like Wayne Jackson, Bruce Lindsay, Wally Miller, and they were all part of the Hall of Fame. Well, a look now at our tipping for the week, and Graham Merley, that's what I think it is anyway. Congratulations, winning tickets to the SANFL, and overall, Kathy Wieskamp, as she has done for about half the season, cleared out in front. Well done to her. She will win tickets to the grand final if she ultimately wins, and let's have a look through that. I still hold a couple of...
You certainly do, Neil.
Yeah, happy with that. All right, so I'm out in front. We're just about ready for the third quarter of this match, and the Dogs are out in front. Here's Michael Maney.
They certainly are, Neil. They are out by 55 points, the Doggies. Sensational first half. Second half underway. Paul Schooler in ruck against Craig Parry. They clash. Brown threw it on the boot. But Tyson Hay, who had 12 touches in that second term. Gowans. This is James. Got a free kick for a high tackle. Went straight on with it. Got it to Dew. That punishing left boot. Kicks into the pocket. And Corey Archie, the man, taking the mark. Immediately on to Lees. Shown a bit in the first half of footy. Kick to half back. Pumped away by Hay, who just continues. And A bit of a look at that dust-up right on half-time. Paul Thomas and Mark Clayton getting acquainted, getting very close. And not no punches thrown in that, which is good.
Probably a little bit of frustration, I'd say, creeping in from Port Adelaide.
And a lot of frustration, I reckon. James Gowans falls to parry from Brown. Di Pasquale couldn't get it. It's a pretty lacklustre start to the third term. Paul Thomas might do something about that, though, and he does. Well, the ball was just fumbled and bumbled forward. Thomas just got on the end of it and said, well, righto, let's have a little bit of sanity here and I'll boot a goal.
Yes, Central District's a bit sick of playing the old push-it-along game. They've just stepped up another notch at the start of this quarter, and that's what they'll be trying to do now. They've put out a little bit of a mini resurgence in that end of that second quarter before half-time, and Central Districts now want to close the gate. They want to put themselves back into the fray and become dominant like they were so dominant in that first half of football. So they don't want to give Port a sniff here. They don't want Port getting back into this game.
Well, they kicked the last 3 goals before half-time, Port Adelaide, but Centrals have just continued on their way to start the second half thus far. Early days, of course. Here's Thomas going to kick that goal. Cowan at the front, one grab and just came to the front again. Bellows' hand pass was clever, and now Dew shakes clear of a tackle, should kick this, he does. And that's raised a roar from the stands, and why not? Stuart Dew showing his class there.
Showing his strength. He's got such lower body strength. He's got big, powerful legs. He broke away from this tackle. A great handball over the top by Bello. Another good handball, sorry, by Gowans, Chris Gowans. And Stuart Dew on that formidable left foot, making no mistakes and using his leg power, pushing himself away there. Great shot from goal umpire Cam, straight up the post. And that ball well and truly snuck inside for a 6-pointer.
First of the afternoon to Stewie Dew. Ball up in the centre. Parry knocked it down. This is where Centrals have been so good. They've been able to win the 50-50 contest. Slade, Gowans, just too good. In front of Bamford, the 221s go at it. This is Chris Gowans. Spreads it to the outer side to Hopwood. He'd love to get on the act and kick a goal. He's Chip towards Shell. Just out in front. And Shell was able to run onto the football and take a mark. He'll kick from 40 metres out on a slight angle, but he's in ensemble today, Daniel Shell.
Reminiscent of that first quarter, the few goals he got in that first quarter all came from strong leads, out in front of his opposition player. Down low there, Daniel Shell kept his eyes on it. Great delivery from up the ground. And will he go back and kick his 5th? That's the question. See another change going down the boundary there, Sodas.
Yeah, Matty King about to head onto the ground. He'll replace Tony Bamford, who's back on the side today and probably just struggling with a little bit of fitness.
Daniel Shell.
Sorry, you go, Michael.
Goal number 5, Daniel Shell. And I think he might have missed.
Sorry about that, Michael. I was just going to say that Tony Bamford just hasn't been able to go with the Gowans brothers stopping on that half-forward flank off the ball.
There's King, the man who just came on. Just taking their time. Port Adelaide been stymied in virtually every attack. Di Pasquale, interesting hand pass. Really set a task for his teammates. Just crab fashion going across the ground at the moment. Finally, King puts on the gas, but nothing much still in front of him in terms of options. Mark was taken by Parry. Inboard he goes, turns it over. Straight away to Thomas. He knows where to head. Straight towards goal. Long kick from Thomas. Bello, and across the front. Good mark taken by Di Pasquale, just coming in late. Marco Bello had relaxed, knowing that the ball was going to drop into his lap, but for Di Pasquale's effort.
Straight back to them.
Yeah, the turnover straight away. Schooler got some good shepherding work by Curry. Then Slade. Ordinary kick. Port Adelaide, well, he might have got a free kick there, King, for too high, or rather Fitzgerald, I think it is, for too high, but umpire opts instead to throw the ball up.
Last couple of possessions, not the right way to go for either team there. Craig Parry making a monumental mistake almost back through the centre.
Here's Ware, takes his time, just pops it up high. Dew will come late, but, oh, and he'll give away 25 for sure. This umpire coming in, and clearly that was late on Mitchell Andrews, a young man just recovering from the slam dunk that he was given by Dew. Off the funk. He goes long but wide, and Ebert was a target, well marked. This time last season, this young man was progressing nicely in the SANFL. It seemed that he only had to turn around to get a ball, close his eyes even, and he was a ball magnet, but not so this season. He spent his time in the AFL, and he's just trying to get his confidence back at this level. Parry slips a hand pass to Brown. Brown under siege, a hand pass forward, looking for Fegert or perhaps Evans. Evans comes in trouble, swung around a couple of times. McDowell now takes his chance. He's usually a good finisher. This time, no exception. Finds King 40 metres out. King plays on, and from 40 metres, well, if there is a positive for Port Adelaide this afternoon, at least they're accurate. 5 straight.
Exactly right, Neil. That's about as many positives they've had so far, though, the fact that they've kicked straight. This is a great vision. That's a great kick crossing the ground. And well finished by King. King backed himself in down at half-back a couple of minutes ago and ran the football and found an option up the ground. This time he's come through, offered himself as the option, and made no mistake with the finish there. So Matthew King with a couple of very important possessions for Port Adelaide early in this quarter.
Doesn't kick many goals, Matthew King. Around about his 4th or 5th of his career. Cowan! Big leap. Surely a free kick. Matthew Slade a bit high. He pleads with the umpire. Young Andrews the man. There it goes.
Good jump by Cowan. Twisted around.
In the meantime, Matthew Slade's given away 25 at least. I think we might come back. Oh, that's about 25. Hard to tell, in between 25 and 50.
I'll take his land if he's giving it away.
Oh, Ebert flies, didn't take the mark. Bello, underground handball, Spatala. And Slade had to go. Eilert really could have come in and cleaned him up. Just held back.
Eilert had to make a contest there. He pulled out a couple of short steps at the end there. That's almost a great grab by Ebert. Came down rather solidly on his back. Took a bit of wind out of him.
Tyson Hay with yet another possession. Kicks into the pocket, not his best effort. Shell had the ball on a string. Tackled now, Archie. Just moved down back, Biarchi. Just cleared the area. Tony Brown, Spatala, too clever. Curry threw on the boots very high. Cowan loves a run at these. Misjudged it completely. And Parry, rock solid. Got it away, the man who kicked the last goal. And Matthew King looks for McDowell, a 2-on-1. Scorer! Well, that's pretty difficult for Nathan McDowell. That is setting him a huge task.
I just had to be out in front of him. He kicked and made him stop and wait for the football. So McDowell's sitting under the football, never going to take that grab.
Here goes Hopwood, and his kick chopped off well by Lees, who has probably been one of the shining lights for Port Adelaide today.
He has shown a bit today, that's for sure. It's a fantastic grab over the top by Schooler, but you see the kick just left McDowell with nowhere to go.
Just another look at Brent Ebert as he just lost his way on the back of Marco Pello.
Hurt his shoulder too, wasn't it?
Took the wind out of him.
I think it was wind more than anything. He did, of course, have a shoulder reconstruction. That's the reason that he's got it heavily taped, but he's backing out there.
Craig Parry's ruck work's interesting. Around the ground and also at centre bounces, he's jumping up and he's getting his hands on the football, but he's throwing the big fist, the big punch into it. And maybe he'd be better off sometimes suited just to pop it down to that one side and hit his on balls. At the moment, he's just punching it and hoping that someone gets on the end of it, but it's not really happening.
Cowan does exactly what you've asked, just lays it down and then goes and gets it himself for Central District. Dew trying to shake clear, doesn't need to, puts on a Shepherd. Brown was clever for Port Adelaide. Now they get it down to half forward. Clayton just got himself under the ball. Switala took it away. Nice little hand pass off to Graham. That was better. Just the one dummy this time before he gives it off to Dew. Dew could probably make the goal square from here, but just takes a nice little
kick.
Again, gets out maybe the sandwich, maybe the 9-iron, and puts it down to Hay, who I thought played on. So did the umpire. Hay inside with the kick. Oh, it was pretty awkward off his right foot. It's his non-preferred. Slade, hand pass. Gowans tried to slip it around the corner. Hopwood was down there, got collected, and Heath Hopwood's on his back as Shell tries to slide home a goal. It's raced through. Heath Hopwood slow to get up, but eventually does. Still got a grin on his face, and why not?
Trying to sneak down to get a quick goal there, Heath Hopwood. That's probably why he's got the grin on his face. Shouldn't be there.
63 points the difference. One-sided affair here at Elizabeth. Chad Davis. And he's cleaned up after he kicked the ball. Taken by Mann. Mann short kick. Spots up Feagate. A long, long way from goal, Feagate. Clayton gives him something at half forward, and that's a good kick by Feagate. Clayton wants to go on with it.
Got to go to the top.
He may set up Evans here. Off to Hyde, just lost him for a second, and Evans took the mark. He just lost him for a split second, and Evans was able to use his body, judge it well, and take the mark. He's booted a couple. He's lining up for goal number 3, and Port 6th without a miss.
That was a very good kick. Evans is running across, leading to that pocket. The kick, like I said, had to go over the top of the 2 players, and it's exactly what it did. That Evans should go back. He's nothing but a goal kicker in terms of football. He is a spearhead, a full forward that loves to kick a goal. He's a good full forward, and he's got a lovely kick on him. He should make no mistake with this.
And he kicked one from about 50 more metres out from goal than what he was then. No trouble popping through. Goal number 3 for him. He's kicked half of Port Adelaide's score. He's kicked 3 goals.
And he is Port's leading goal scorer this year. That takes him up to 23.
Well, Port Adelaide showing a little bit. It's been more evenly matched this quarter. That's a strong grab. Do Port Adelaide, you know, do they keep coming? Do they keep coming? That's the question. Will they keep coming? Or will Central District say, no, look, we've had enough of this. We've toyed with you enough. We're going to finish you. We're going to finish your season for 2004.
Well, it's not doing anything for the percentage for Port Adelaide, of course, as they fight for that 5th position. I will say that I'll take a bet that Central's will rush a point in a minute, just so Port Adelaide doesn't do something right this afternoon with their scoreboard. Ball out of the middle. McDowell just hit by Ebert, and as a result, Central's able to spring the ball, only briefly though. McDowell goes back in. Bello working hard in there for Central's. He's the man at the centre of 3 Port Adelaide players, and now Mark Clayton not very happy with Marco Bello. Parry slaps the ball forward, this time to his team's advantage.
Gone.
Davis almost was hit. Ware came quickly, and nice mark, one-hander, pulled in by Evans. Chance for his 4th goal of the afternoon.
Bit of pressure on here.
Certainly is another change down the boundary, Sodas.
James Wilson back on the ground, and he has replaced Dane Fitzgerald. A change for the Doggies as well. Kane Officer coming off, Matty Krieg back on.
Straight onto the phone to Matty Knight, Dane Fitzgerald. Getting a couple of new instructions.
Run out of instructions.
I was going to say, with the same old instructions. Look, just get the ball.
Please.
Stop Central's getting it. Evans has got it a few times. He only gets it on average 6 times a match, but he's done pretty well this afternoon, because with Moggy, you'll tell me how many possessions he's got 4 goals.
That's right, I reckon he's had 5 kicks and 2 handballs. He surprised me.
With a lovely finish. Almost thought Elijah Ware could have put the tackle on there, a bit more pressure. After Hyde just been run under the football again. Evans, a nice strong grab, pulling it in one hand, and a lovely finish. Well, Port Adelaide, you know, they're making something of this. They've come back from what was, you know, a huge margin at half-time to actually put a bit of pressure on Central. Centrals haven't been able to move the ball as freely as they were. Their running game's been shut down a little bit, and that's what Port are good at. Port, like Central, is a physical side. They can shut down the opposition if they've got the time and the know-how.
It's the closest they've been since the 5-minute mark of the 2nd quarter, Port Adelaide. So 51-point lead. Next week, the special time of 2 p.m, Port Adelaide and West Adelaide. Port playing for pride, you'd think. West still very much in the mix. They're a game clear inside the 5. So that game starting a little bit early for those people watching on ABC television. Taken by Feagate. They've got a run on here. Brown inside to Wilson. Wilson quickly to Clayton. Clayton's got a man over the top in McDowell. McDowell will go on. Advantage rule will pay. And it goes to McDowell. He kicks a goal. The advantage rule was paid. And Nathan McDowell kicks another goal. And Port Adelaide, well, have booted their 4th for the quarter.
Very positive signs from Matthew Knight. They won't lie down. They will not lie down. And Central Districts need to do something about this. We know the last 2 times these teams have played this year, it's been 11 points the difference in both games. The Central's been the victor on both occasions, but that's what we expect today. We expected a close encounter. Port have given them this huge start, but now, finally, they're starting to will them back. Can Port Adelaide get closer?
Well, 4 in a row for Port Adelaide. 3 in a row just before half-time. And Centrals, will they reply? There's a booming kick out of the middle from Hay, and Cowan couldn't take the chest mark. Ware was quick but couldn't get the ball either. Now Krieg over it. Biaggi tackled him well. Davis, former North Adelaide end with AFL experience, just shifted across half-back Port Adelaide. Schooler will tackle Parry, but not before Parry gets the hand pass across to Ebert around the corner. Not the greatest of kicks, and Quentin Graham showed how to take it.
Great deal of
spreads
courage.
the ball. James Gowans. Central's very good if they're not accounted for. Down the half forward. Slade almost. Krieg did. Now Thomas, high and long. Not the way they've been going in this match. And Shell just got rid of Archie with strength. I'm not convinced it's totally all right to do that, but nevertheless, it was very effective.
Well, it was, and I was actually thinking as that ball came in long, I was looking at the two of them. They were pushing and shoving, and I thought this is going to work straight into the hands of Corey Archie. I thought he is the stronger of the two, I'd think, in physical, upper body strength especially. Corey Archie, I thought, would have had the better of that, but Daniel Shell, surprising, good strength.
He's lost his footing, right?
Yeah, he did. He slipped out, certainly. Daniel Shell kept the eyes on the ball, did very well.
Just a steadier if it was ever needed for Central District from Daniel Shell, and he now has a handful.
5 goals, a good return after not being able to get one in that second quarter. Daniel Shell kicked his first of the third. So 5 goals for the afternoon so far, with, you'd think, more to come.
He's taken 9 marks up forward and had 11 kicks.
11 kicks. Thank you, Moggy.
Wondered what was going on there for a second. You finally spat it out, well done. 51 points the difference. Parry knocked it down, only towards Thomas. Thomas tackled by Wilson. Turn it over. Good play by Wilson. Allows Biaggi to steam away. Looking for Fegert. And he takes a strong mark in front of Sibanala. Signs have all been good for the Magpies in this term. Fegert kicks for the one-on-one contest between Ofterhide and Evans. Ball just knocked away by Ofterhide. McDowell, he's clever around goal. Didn't look, just popped it up. And a free kick and/or mark will go to Tyson Hay. And there's Corey Archie with a bit of coming off for the blood wool on the old chin.
Still on, though.
No, still on. He's just being treated on the ground. Slade spear finds Ware at half-back. Down the line to Sibanala, who's run off. Rare fumble. Got around Brown okay. He's had to lay it back to Slade. Hopwood in the middle. Has Schooler. Goes to him. Schooler's got not too much in front. Porter just pushed back. He'll wait for a lead. It normally comes from Cowan. Decided to go short to James Gowans, who kicked looking for Shell, and getting in the gap is the young man Andrews, gaining some valuable experience, and he's away from half-back.
Oh, dangerous hand pass from Andrews, and even more trouble for him right now, and still called play on by the umpire. I think he had the whistle to the mouth, was about to play, dropping the ball, and then he called play on.
More trouble than the early settlers there. Mitchell Anderson. He just missed the handball in the first case, and that will come with experience. You know, you've got to hit that first target, and when he put his teammate under pressure by missing the handball, that's when things fell apart for Port Adelaide.
Red Ebert to Brown, back to Ebert, missed the target. Now Centrals with an opportunity. Slade working in confined space is his specialty. Gets it back to Chris Gowans, mucked around with the ball, still delivered a perfect pass. And Krieg have an opportunity, probably kick from 45, 46 metres out.
I talked before about Andrews and Fegert, how they both went and stood with Daniel Shell, and they stood on his shoulder. Well, Corey Archie, as we see, who's that going down the race there, Sodas?
Benny, that's Brad Symes. Now, earlier, the Central District's medical staff gave him the thumbs up, said he was okay, but there must be some concern because another doctor was taking him down to assess him. So perhaps we won't see him again today. And another change in the ruck for Central. Schooler off the ground, Buckets McKenzie in.
Thanks, Sodas.
That would be delayed concussion, I guess, with young Symes.
No concussion is good concussion, whether it's delayed or instant. Taken by King, who tries to get around Cowan and did okay in the end. Round to Ebert. Now Ebert hasn't hurt them in the front half. He's working hard at the back. Clayton, that's a lovely trap, but ran into a brick wall in Sivanala. Graham tried to paddle. Mann flicked it out the back. Was it legal? Wilson in more trouble than those early settlers that Ben Knight spoke about. Oh, free kick against Hay. Just had to hold up Chad Davis, and that stunned him. And that's just around the left ear. Looks okay, just a little bit dazed. Chad Davis hasn't had the best of days.
Worked his way into the game, Michael. This will be his 13th kick, 4 handballs.
He was at 17 possessions. He surprised me. He's held onto it for a fortnight. Got a lead from Evans a long way from goal. And Brad Curry really tried to make him earn that one. And Evans just went the 15 metres. 100 plays 48. The Dogs by 52. Evans kicks it inside 50. McDowell's in position. The punch over the back was good by off the hide. Brown ran out of real estate. Here's Brad Symes and just sucking them in there, young Bradley. Yes, not a well chappy, I don't think. Better off to get him into the rooms and hopefully he'll be okay for next week. Thomas to Buckets McKenzie. McKenzie kicks looking for and finds Chris Gowans. No mark. King did okay. Dived on the footy. Whitwell, the umpire see that. He sat on the footy, but umpire Williams, in one of those 50-50 ones I was talking about in Maney's view, he won't pay it.
Michael, and what was your view on that one there, Michael? Did you think that he pulled that ball under? Did he think he tried to get rid of it?
I just think he sat all over it.
So that would have been holding the ball in your decision?
Yep.
Feagit. Now Wilson scrubs the ball forward. Been the way Port Adelaide's done it this afternoon. Has been effective. McDowell kicks a goal. Has been effective to this effect. They've kicked straight. That's 9 goals and 2 for McDowell.
And hasn't Nathan McDowell got a fair bit of football this quarter? He's turned it on across half forward. He's really got himself on the end of a couple of good finishing touches with 2 goals and got a lot of the football, really set up a fair bit of the play for Port Adelaide in what has been Port Adelaide's dominant quarter.
Yes, Nathan McDowell. As Tony Brown takes a rest down there, Sodas.
Having a breather. It is very warm, Michael, so the players rotating a lot during the midfield. Dane Fitzgerald's coming onto the forward flank. Paul Thomas will pick him up now.
It's been okay quarter for the Magpies. They booted 5-3. And that would hearten Matthew Knights, but the damage done in the first half. There's Tony Brown, just a bit of water, just throwing it over the neck. It's pretty warm compared to the temperatures we've had here in Adelaide. Taken by Bello, quick hands, got it to Ware. Now Ware might go all the way. All he got is Shell in the pocket. Oh, good kick. Well, Daniel Shell can get out on the lead, no question about that, but the delivery's got to be spot on, and Ware's one of the best in the business.
Elijah Ware hasn't had a lot of space out in that wing today since he's come on. He's been well held, but then that case, he ran forward, he got 3 or 4 metres on his man, gave him the time with his speed just to deliver it beautifully out in front of Daniel Shell and Corey Archie. Nothing going there, nothing that he could do about that. And Daniel Shell to line up for another goal.
He has kicked 5. And goal umpire back pedals a bit. I think he might have just missed it.
It's pretty quiet down there behind the goals.
He has kicked 5 goals, 5. Daniel Shell.
Corey Archie, I was just saying before, Corey Archie is playing him from the front. So in that case, because the ball went right to the pocket, couldn't get across. But Corey Archie's taking the lead, he's going from the front, and that's maybe shutting Daniel Shell down a little bit.
Margin 47 points now. A lot of sting gone out of the match. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No, it hasn't. I think Port Adelaide are taking the advantage that they can while the sting is out of the match. Central Districts have relaxed a little bit this quarter.
James Gowans wanted a free kick, no doubt. Cowan. Davis just pushed over. Still the ball's loose and in dispute. Wilson showed him how. Took the tackle, got the free kick, played on. Goes towards Feagit. Sivanala closed him down. And over the line, just in that interchange area, just in front of Sodas. Had a good view of that.
Got a real sniff of the action there, Neil. I'm almost thinking about making a comeback, except I'm that bad I'd probably fall over and do my knee.
again, just looking to thump the ball forward. Was runner-up actually in Port's Best and Fairest last year to the Magarey medalist Ebert, who's involved almost in this tackle. And Hopwood finally gets pinched for his rugby league style bullocking through the pack. Was held on to there by another man who's equally adept at bullocking, and De Pasquale plays on. Inside 50 with the long kick, 3-on-1. You'd back Mackenzie. No, he's not needed. Ball goes over the back. Poor judgment by the Centrals boys. They had 3-on-1, as I said. And now it comes back to Evans. Has he kicked a point? He has. Well, hit the post. Couldn't have got closer. But after kicking 9 straight, Centrals, rather Port finally has that minor score.
And great vision there. Well done by the goal umpire.
Blot on the copybook of Port Adelaide and Paul Evans. Slade. There's Biaggi, ball runs out of bounds. 55 plays 101. And there's Brad Symes with the crutches. So maybe there's a little bit of something else in that sodas. We'll get you right onto it.
Michael, get those glasses off. It's the Port Adelaide bench you're looking at there. And that's it's actually Nick Butler. He has hurt his knee, and the whisper from the Port medical staff is that it's quite serious. So could be the end of the season for the young lad.
Fantastic. I thought Brad Symes had grown a bit there. That's a shocker by me. Back to the footy. Sivanala kicks, looking for Jew. Spillage. Cowan burst through, got it to Krieg. He booted 4 last week. He makes set up James Gowans. No free kick. James not too happy about it. Biaggi just ran past the footy, allowed wear in. You get a second chance, Gowans. Away to brother Chris. Short kick over the top. It was meant for Swatala. He may get it back. Left, right. Should have kicked it. Krieg after the siren. I don't think the score will count. If Swatala had swung around on his left, it probably would have been another goal, and he knows it. But it's 3/4 time at Elizabeth as I go looking for my contact lenses. Centrals 15-11-101. Port Adelaide 9-1-55.
46 points going into the last quarter. I still think that it's too much for Port Adelaide to get back into this game to the extent where they're a chance to have a win. But Port Adelaide got nothing to lose. They'll be throwing everything on the line in this last quarter because it's their finals chance. If they want to have any shot whatsoever at making the final 5 this year, they need to win this game. Otherwise, it's going to be left to Westies, who are already a game ahead of them. See Central Districts, Gowans, Jew, quite content, and I'm sure they'll be a little bit disappointed with the way they played that 3rd quarter. We see here Paul Thomas starting off the quarter for Central Districts with a lovely goal running inside 50. And at that stage, we thought maybe Central Districts were going to shut the gate. Maybe that was going to be it, where they stopped the flow that Port Adelaide had got in the last 5 minutes or so of the 2nd quarter. But then Port Adelaide came. And didn't they come with a fury, kicking very straight, very accurately. And this man led them from the front.
It was quite amazing, wasn't it? They kicked the last 3 goals, excuse me, before half-time, and then 4 in a row in the middle stages of that quarter. And at one stage, you're just sort of looking at it and thinking, oh, is this possible?
Yeah, well, Paul Evans still thinks it's possible. He's kicked a good, I think he's kicked 4 goals for the half. You see there, Port Adelaide running in numbers, getting space. The handball over the top there, that was actually McDowell playing on from a free kick, taking the advantage and finishing well. He had a good quarter.
About this advantage, Cowan absolutely stopped dead then, and then the umpire said play on. So McDowell was quite prepared to take that advantage. We look through quarter by quarter scores, and that powerful opening 7-3 to 1 goal has set up the match for Centrals. You wouldn't think that Port Adelaide was going to get near them after that, but you never know. Well, at 3/4 time, the margin 46 points.
Yeah, 46 points, and that the way Port Adelaide played in the first half is flattering. We see there the leading goal kickers, Daniel Shell obviously with his 5, and Evans for Port Adelaide with 4, the 2 leading goal kickers at the moment on the field.
There's not a lot of multiple goal scorers, in fact only the 2, Daniel Shell and Kane Officer. Considering 15 goals, it hasn't been quite spread around, or it has been spread around, sorry, for Centrals.
That's right, that's the way Central Districts play. They've got Daniel Shell as their key forward, but they do like sharing the football around as we have a look at the stats.
And what do you make of those? Certainly the number of handballs is very unlike Port Adelaide in many ways.
That comes from the pressure that Central Districts have been putting them under. The fact that Central Districts are always at the player. Port Adelaide are throwing it around, trying to get some space, trying to work it out, but unfortunately, it hasn't been able to happen.
Central's had Simon Arnott play some time in reserves this afternoon, ready to come back into the side. Another player who's on the boundary and no doubt looking forward to getting back in the side. Nathan Steinburner joins us. And Nathan, bit of a problem with your shoulder. What's the story at this point in time?
Yeah, dislocated it last week playing Sturt, and at the moment probably be 2 weeks before I'm back. Hopefully, yeah, after the bye next week.
Well, just looking at the incident in which it happened last week, and it looked very innocuous. What was it? Did you have a susceptibility in the arm already, or was it a case of just the right timing and the right touch at a bad time?
Yeah, there wasn't much in it at all, and yeah, I've actually done my other shoulder once before, but yeah, this shoulder first time, so just unlucky.
So Nathan, Ben Knight's up here. You're looking at coming back, what, for the finals or the week before the finals?
Last round against West, hopefully. That's the plan at this stage. So yeah, I've started running, so everything's on track.
And the boys at the moment looking very good, looking as though they're coming good at the right time of the season.
Yeah, yes, especially the first quarter then. So yeah, we're looking all right. We slowed down a bit in that second term and the third. So, but yeah, we're on track.
And outside of football, the teaching hasn't been hurt by the arm?
No, yeah, I'm a PE teacher, so it makes it a little bit hard for a few other things, but no, I'm coping all right. Kids get stuck into me a bit, but that's normal, I guess.
Only to be expected for sure. Look, stay with us. We'll just go across to Mark Soderstrom. Soder's been listening to what's been going on in the Central's huddle.
Well, there's no doubt about the Magpies' commitment, a super third term by them. Roy Laird perhaps thinking a little ahead. He's asked his two key defenders, Jeremy Ofterhide and Eve Sibonala, to put themselves under pressure. Imagine they're playing a finals game today and beat their two key forward opponents in this final term. He's also said to the boys, we've got 30 minutes left. We've got a big campaign coming up ahead of us. Run hard and get a lot of run in the legs, a lot of pressure. So almost put some self-pressure on yourselves, although Port Adelaide are doing a lot of that at the moment. Now, Nathan, we've seen a couple of younger players playing well over the last couple of weeks, Matty Krieg and Kane Officer to name two. A real healthy competition for spots coming into the finals.
Yeah, that's right. We've also got Nick Prokopek coming back, so yeah, it's going to be hard. Glad I'm not on the selection committee.
And Nathan, Nick Prokopek, what's the problem there, or is it just form?
He did his AC last week against Sturt as well, so yeah, we've got a few blokes out with shoulders, and Richie Cochrane with his elbow as well, so...
All right, well, thanks for joining us. Good luck on the comeback trail as you come back from that shoulder injury, and with any luck, you won't need to have an operation or anything really serious like that.
Yeah, touch wood. Thanks, Matt.
Good luck, Steiny.
Cheers.
All right, and just a reminder of our netball, which is coming up next week. Last night in the preliminary final, the Melbourne Phoenix way too good for the Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds dropping that one by 14 goals, with Eloise Southby-Helbish scoring 29 of the goals for the Phoenix. And next week it'll be the grand final. The Swifts against the Melbourne Phoenix from 4:30 p.m. Don't forget that we'll have a special time of 2 o'clock, half an hour earlier, for Port Adelaide against West Adelaide. Back down to Sodas on the boundary.
Thanks, Neil. I'm with Gavin Chaplin. Gavin, looked like the boys just took the foot off the pedal a little bit in that term.
Oh, yeah, we've had a heavy program the last 5 weeks, but we just started to miss a few tackles, which was not good for us.
So Roy's still pretty happy?
Oh, yeah, you're still pretty happy. Just have to control the stoppages, yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
And Michael Maney, let's go with this final term.
I got my glasses on, Mark. I'll be able to look into those Port and also Bulldogs benches now. Final term, Centrals lead by 46 points. There's Craig Parry, Paul Schooler. Underway. Parry, good leap, knocked it down. Fitzgerald got through. Davis ducked ahead. Got to give it up, turn it over to Ware. Ware slips it across to Chris Gowans. Chris Gowans to Brother James. You can rack up another one. Back to Chris Gowans. They got it on a string. Stewie on kick. Stopped line by Stewie Jew. Her score, the final term, kicked by the Bulldogs.
Central District's on ball. It's getting a bit of the football early. The Gowans boys linking up as they do so often, and Stewie Jew getting on the end of it. Would have liked to have finished that one.
Port Adelaide no choice but to go long. Nice mark by Ebert, getting some confidence at this level. Wanting to be part of Port's AFL finals campaign as he drives wide to Davis. Had a bit of the ball this afternoon. Been swamped by the Central's midfield though. Davis long to Evans. Beats his man, that won't impress. Off to Hyde. Around the corner from Clayton, up towards goal. Well trapped by Fitzgerald. Got it across to Fegan. Another goal coming up for Port Adelaide. Well, despite all their problems this afternoon through the midfield and that, Port Adelaide have been effective in getting the ball into the corridor for the easy shot on goal, and it doesn't come much easier than a metre out with the ball in your hands.
No, exactly right. It's a clever kick. Getting it round there. Almost probably would have bounced through if Nigel hadn't gotten away, but Fegan, the easiest of goals, and Port Adelaide continue to come. Now, that's really positive sign for Matthew Knights. If he took the first quarter out of this game, then it'd be quite competitive now. So maybe Central Districts wouldn't have let them get back into the game for that first quarter if they didn't have that margin.
Would he be pleased or frustrated because it's taken so long for them to really push on in this game? They let Centrals right out.
Oh, no doubt. Both. You know, he would have been frustrated with the fact they didn't get the start they would have been after. They would have been wanting to hit the ball hard in the first quarter and really put the score on the board, but didn't happen. But now he'd be pleased with the way they're going about it.
Be pleased with this man, Roy Laird. Daniel Shell takes a mark in front of one of the best fullbacks in the business has been playing half forward. Corey Archie, here it is.
Strong grab, isn't it? He's been good all day overhead. He's got a lovely set of hands on him. Loves to jump at the football, Daniel Shell. And on his third opponent, so he's had an excellent day in that respect. He's gone through 3 opponents, Andrews, Fegan, and now Archie. And you think Archie probably would have been the matchup. Matthew Knights went Archie start.
Lovely view of this. We'll ride it all the way with Daniel Shell. And I think he might have just pushed it across. He's had an incredible 11 shots at goal today, Daniel Shell.
He'd be disappointed with missing that. You can see in his face, and it didn't miss by a lot. But as a full forward, they're the ones leading goal kick, you'd expect him to kick it.
Ball in long again for Port Adelaide. Over the back was Bello. Swapped as he picked up the ball in a lot of trouble. Umpire picked up a high tackle in there somewhere. Bello using the elbow.
And very lucky because Marco Bello, he took the football, stopped and turned into 3 or 4 tackling Port Adelaide players, and extremely lucky. Maybe a little bit sloppy by one of the Port Adelaide tacklers there. Wasn't quite sure who it was that put the arm across the shoulder. There was about 3 or 4 of them.
Central District very disciplined up forward. Their forward line was not crowded at all. Port Adelaide prepared to go one-on-one. And that left open the possibility of a chip pass finding somebody. It didn't happen. Now this long ball comes in from Slade. Archie got the fist of the ball. Swatala gave up the hand pass. King, well, somehow they got out of it. Davis to Brown. Brown has got nothing really in front of him except a long, long kick to Evans. Evans in front, 2 grabs, ball to ground. Clayton overran it. Graham didn't for Centrals. And away they go again, Central District. Thomas shares it with Hopwood. Hopwood's got a player in Officer and a lot of space on the far side of the ground.
And
Officer
they're one
now.
down. Sorry, Neil, they're 1 down up forward. Swatala's limping. He's hurt his ankle, I think, and I think he'll come to the bench.
Port Adelaide intercept and they'll relieve the pressure, and it's coming in the direction of that man you mentioned, Swatala. No, it's not now. They come this side. Swatala, there was no way he was going to catch anybody.
Cameron Islet. Just held onto it a little too long. Got a free kick though. He was fortunate. Got one across the shoulder, Cameron Islet.
Not enough talk by Port Adelaide there. You saw Islet looking up ground. No one telling him he was hot. No one telling him he was about to get tackled. And fortunate, the Central District's tackle up, shut the hand across the arm, across the shoulder.
McDowell tried to get through. In the end, was pinged for dropping the footy. And you can just tell that Port are giving it everything. And they're overplaying it just a fraction. Hopwood to James Gowans. Slips it in to guess who? His twin brother. His kick, looking for Shell. Parry got in the gap and thumped it away. And they've been okay at doing that so far in this final term. The Magpies. Andrews did it earlier, and Craig Parry this time.
Not too bad. That's what they didn't do in the first quarter. They didn't drop into the hole and help each other out down there. So Craig Parry did well there, but again, maybe a little bit of lack of talk from Archie. Parry could have taken that mark.
Cowan knocked it down. Islet's got to beat a couple. Brown. That's a good effort to get it to Wilson, and now Wilson's taken to ground by James Gowans. Ball held to him. Umpire Richard Williams.
Those twins, Michael, are the busiest players on the ground. Chris has had 26 times and James 24.
They are very effective for the Dogs, no doubt about that, Ian Moggridge. Cowan, surely a free kick to Parry. Parry's kick off the ground, hits Stewie Dew in the chops. Here comes James Gowans, ridden into the ground, no free kick. Eilert slung in the tackle. How did he get rid of it? Umpire cuts in some slack and will ball it up.
I don't think he did. Good pressure, good tackle. The young guy and Andrews there. Lovely tackle. And Eilert doing well to hold on to the football. Not going to be pinged in front of goal, you wouldn't think, holding the ball.
James Gowans. In goes Lees. James Gowans has got him. So it's in the attacking 50 for the Bulldogs as we tick into 6.5 minutes. 42 points difference in favour of the Dogs.
Harry done well in ruck, but Dew off the right foot, inside 50 with the kick, out in front of Shell, couldn't trap it. Archie will go for the boundary. Archie does go for the boundary. Archie finds the boundary. Just the semi-mummy for Archie, that look, and that look is Roy Laird sitting up there in the coach's box, in the Dogs box. And Elizabeth. Well, that's taking it out of the ruck, and, well, maybe the umpire called play on. You'd think Slade took that ball straight out of the ruck then.
Short throw in.
I don't know what you want to encourage. I know that rule has been brought in for a reason so that the dominant large ruckmen don't take it, but in something like that, then maybe it should be play on. Maybe that's the way the rule could be interpreted.
I think it probably was. Chris Gowans off the right foot, set to task for Shell. Archie got him out of position probably too easily. Davis is running. Davis
Ebert
looks up, and then Ebert's the next man in the chain. Not the greatest of kicks. Ebert's got some work to do with Officer, who comes back, taps the ball in front. Ebert outdone there. Oh, bad dummy by Officer if he gets out of that one, and he does with a high tackle from McDowell. He's lucky.
There's a poor kick there in front of Brett Ebert. That kick just had to go a little bit further. I don't know if someone got a hand on it or it just dropped short, but it just had to go out in front.
Yeah, just not quite good enough. Where inside 50, that kick was too short. Off Wilson's shins, McDowell went to ground. Hand pass found James Gowans, looks inside 50. Didn't like what he saw in terms of options, so spotted up Shell. 2 grabs, play on, says the umpire. De Pasquale, Archie, and finally clear it from the back through Lees. Comes wide with the kick, Brown. Brown in turn goes up the line. Sets a task for Fitzgerald in front of Hopwood. Hopwood not quite as quick as Fitzgerald, holds on effectively. Out of bounds at half forward left for Port Adelaide.
Keith Hopwood looking good the last few weeks. He's played some really good football, and like we've said so many times, the happy Central District supporters. Another change there for Port Adelaide. Chad Davis coming and having a spell.
Shane Biaggi going back on. Parry, Schooler, taken by Brown. Just paved the way, kicked it long, looking for Evans. Quentin Graham set himself in front. Second effort was good, off to Hyde. Toe poke. Chris Gowans got it to Curry. Dogs out of trouble, Sivanala. Out in front of James Gowans. King did okay. Biaggi just ran straight past the footy. Officer back inboard to Sivanala. No one's gone with him. He could have had a bounce, decided to load it up. Looking for Shell. Archie's in front. Funk. Krieg's got him. Ball up. 100 play 61. 9.5 gone.
That's where Michael Archie's been good since going back there. He started. He knows that Shell has that probably extra metre of pace on him, but Archie's put himself in front and stopped that strong lead with a nice disposal of the Central District's players bring it forward.
5-6 this afternoon to Daniel Shell. Andrews. Not quite over the ball. Taken by Cowan, who shares it with Gowans. His kick is weighted beautifully for Shell, who couldn't take another mark. In comes Ware. Krieg. I'll kick it myself. Could have given it off. Matthew Krieg. He kicked his second. He batted 4 last week. Been okay today, as most of the doggies have.
Certainly right. There's another great kick coming in to Daniel Shell. Daniel Shell, I thought, should have put the arms up and taken this one. He tried to take it on the chest. But a good finish, a nice snap. And Krieg, is that Krieg's second or third goal? It's his second.
I got him down for 2.
2 goals too. There we go.
Lackluster final quarter, really. Here's Chris Gowans off to Officer. Officer looks inside 50. Backing in was Cowan. Ball the ground again. Port Adelaide come out of there with a chain of hand passes. They've done all right. Lee's off the left foot. Down to McDowell, was taken high on the mark. Take your pick. And 25 metres for that as well. So Nathan McDowell gets in that grey area of whether he can make the distance as Matthew Slade off the ground. So it's just a case of resting.
Yeah, the stock standard rotation in the midfield. Slady having a breather. Paul Thomas back on the ground.
4 kicks by McDowell. Curry was the man who intercepted. Now Centrals again, load up. Hopwood, just as well he only took 2 steps then, he couldn't have taken any more. He's exhausted. That's a great mark.
Well done,
Punched
Andrews.
the ball away. And then Mitchell Andrews followed up and managed to take the chest mark. Here's Wilson in a bit of space. The heat maybe is having an effect. Certainly it's been a wet month and a cold month in Adelaide before the past week or so. Before the past week anyway. And now it's pretty warm this afternoon and a couple of those players out there look like they're jogging on the spot. That's as much as they can do. Officer slides in and takes a mark. Now Shell leads hard. That's where the ball was supposed to go. Didn't ever get there. Never looked like getting there. Parry shares it. And Ireland, high kick towards the wing. Brown, best position, took a nice mark. He'll want to get it on quickly. That's got to be 25 umpire. No.
Paul's busiest player today. This will be his 9th kick. He's had 15 handballs.
Tony Brown, 2001 Magarey medalist. 105 games with St Kilda. Port Adelaide.
That's
They
a poor
really
kick.
struggled across half forward. Man's kick did not advantage his player. And McDowell has really whacked Ware behind play. 2-fisted, back of the head. Umpire's seen it. Out comes the book.
That is just stupid play. Elijah Ware, a great young kid. And it was a double-fisted. It was almost an elbow straight to the back of the head as he ran past. This will get called back, I'd say.
Now the umpire allowing it to go on. So we'll go with the players. It's inside half forward for Centrals. Wilson hands off to Parry. Parry quickly across to Eilert. It'll come back towards the umpire who's reporting, or in the process of reporting, McDowell for that indiscretion. This has at least hotted up the game. It'll be interesting in the packs from now on. And Boys on Tape have provided this look at that incident.
Bang.
Just see.
And off he comes.
Probably very sensible word from Matthew Knights, because besides anything else, you wouldn't want another indiscretion like that, because next week's match against West Adelaide will be all important for Port Adelaide.
That's right, depending upon the way the West Adelaide game goes. Tomorrow it will be a roll of the dice, last roll of the dice for Port and Westies.
Port's percentage will take a bit of a thumping here. Good kick by Chris Gowans to Stewie Dew. In the right side for left footer. Stewie, he's kicked. What has Stewie got today? He's kicked 1 goal, 3.
Coming in for his 12th kicks, had 2 handballs as well.
There's Paul Schooler having a rest.
I think you're right, Neil. I think the weather is really taking a fair toll on these players. And Stewie Dew runs around.
No one there to monitor that. Lapse in concentration from the Port Adelaide defence. Stewie Dew kicks his second, and it's out to 54 points.
Well, you see Craig Parry standing in the hole there. He didn't even put his hands up. See him? He's standing there, number 34 for Port Adelaide, Craig Parry. He's standing there looking at Stuart Dew as he took that mark. Stuart Dew opened the angle beautifully and finished well, but I mean, that's because of the weather. Craig Parry has been one of Port Adelaide's best, if not their best. He's worked tirelessly in ruck, but then goes to sleep a little bit in that case, and that's what Port Adelaide can't afford to do.
Here's Parry. Tap down out of the middle, follows up. Another little hand pass to Wilson in traffic. Wilson over the top to Mann. Tackled by Thomas. And the boy from Kapunda in Mackenzie got the hand pass out, the big ruckman. And Central's Down to half forward again. Funk putting pressure on. Ball loose on the ground. King overran it, then picked it up and was dumped into the ground. A couple of players on top of them. One of them was James Gowans. The other one, that man, number 17, Stuart Dew, just overran it, was lucky, came off his shin, grabbed it again, then he was in trouble. Halfway through this final quarter, Dew couldn't get the kick away, and both players, Wilson and Dew, came away from that not too well out of that. Great little smother by King. Still a follow-up. It's tight in there again. It comes back to Cowan. Around the corner goes Cowan. Finally a goal to the Bulldogs. And that'll finally give us a chance to have a look back at how Stuart Dew, the ball smothered off his boot. Stuart Dew came off pretty bad and still on the ground is the player who smothered it in Wilson. And you can see why Wilson might be doubled over.
That is a knee to the upper thigh.
The lower stomach.
The lower stomach, or somewhere in between. That's, yes, he's really in a lot of pain there, Wilson. He's played well running out of the back line support. That's unfortunate to see with 10 or so minutes to go in the game. It's not what we'd like to see.
Luke Cowan second. The Dogs lead by 10 goals. It's been that sort of day as James Wilson makes his way off the ground. Stewie Dew also limping, and it looked like an ankle from Stewie Dew. He just went to kick the ball, maybe just a bit of bruising. Quentin Graham, there's James Wilson in the box, being assisted off the ground. Hasn't been one of their worst today. Sibanala from half-back, the glass breaking in the background. There's Wilson. Ebert, just haven't got enough out of Brett Ebert today. I'll get your comments on his game in a moment, Ben. Taken by Quentin Graham, who finds Chris Gowans in the centre of Elizabeth. The Dogs by 10 goals. Gowans in short and couldn't find it. Smark in. Officer thumped away by Parry. Good work by Fitzgerald in toward Mann. Mann has had trouble with his disposal so far in the game. This time it's good to Nigel Feagit. Running forward is Brown. The kick by Feagit just pops up beautifully. Ware can't reel him in. And Tony Brown will go back from 35 metres on a slight angle. Brett Ebert, his game today, probably hasn't done enough to get an AFL spot back.
Oh, no, you wouldn't think so, Michael. Look, I said earlier in the game that he's just been a little bit out of sorts. So I don't know if that's a case of you know, his confidence coming back here, playing in a team. I mean, quite often you get AFL players going up and they come back and they've lost a bit of confidence because of the fact they don't... you know, they don't get as much of the football in the AFL and not as much time.
Tony Brown, the skipper, has pushed it away to the right-hand side. So Port Adelaide trail by 59 points.
But Brett Ebert is a quality player. He won the McGarry medal last year and he should have all the confidence in the world. A young guy with so much ahead of him. So I'm sure it's just one of those things. He just hasn't had the best day today, but he'll turn it around next week, I'm sure.
Just 10 possessions, 8 and 2.
Central's just showing their class. Moving the ball quickly up towards half forward. Cowan. Harry came in late. James Gowans even later picked up the crumbs off the left foot. Great disposal. Schooler led out, but he didn't really need to move. This player in Archie was caught unawares in many ways. And as we see, just Gowans roving the ball. And Archie very late. Schooler was standing there.
The Twins have had 11 possessions each this quarter. For the game, they've had 66 between them. 34 to Chris, 32 to James.
Schooler leans back. Trying to score. Bit of murmurings from the crowd about the inaccuracy. It's about the only thing that's gone wrong for Centrals this afternoon. 18 goals, 14 now.
And so it looks like Wilson is in a bit of trouble down there.
He is, Benny. He's got the leg heavily iced and I think perhaps it could be a severe corky, nothing more than that. Stewie Dew has just been for a bit of a walk along the boundary line. He's moving freely, perhaps a little annoyed by the bloke who jumped the fence and thrust a power jumper and a texter in front of him to sign it, but he's okay now.
Davis looks for Ebert. Steam train coming was Curry. Thomas, who just keeps on getting better with every game. Left footer inside 50 finds Swatala. They are able to pinpoint a target and execute with precision. And Swatala will go back from 40 metres out directly in front. And the Dogs could lead by 11 goals.
So, Sodas, you don't have that problem of people jumping over the texter and the old Sturt jumper?
No, mate, normally just the fist to the back of the head that I've got to watch from people jumping the fence.
Marco Bello coming off for a spell on the rotation as Matty Slade comes back on. And Adam Swatala to stretch this lead out to 66 points for the Bulldogs. Good looking kick. Straight as a barrel. And they just keep on keeping on this Central District side. 66 possessions between the Gowans boys. Ian Mogridge, that is unbelievable. As Elijah Ware takes a rest and Stewie Dew goes back on.
Yes, well, the Central District juggernaut just keeps on rolling.
Benny, just watch out for a little bit of fun and games. Nathan McDowell ready to come back on the ground. Noodles Ware has come off. I think he's got a shocking headache after that belt to the head from McDowell. And I think the Gowans boys are just sharpening up their elbows as they see McDowell in the change pads. Not that I'm insinuating they do anything untoward,
not at all.
of course.
Oh, no.
Spurious allegation there as Dew just got the kick out of the pack in the middle of the ground, and King at half back for Port Adelaide against the tide. A lot of players there for Bulldogs. Dew taking the ground.
I think Port Adelaide AFL team will be happy with Stuart Dew going and playing a bit on ball. As we see Wilson's leg being thoroughly iced there. Hopefully it's nothing more than just a severe cork. Hopefully it's not a, well, not a broken leg or anything like that, which could arise from a clash of two legs.
The game too easy out of the pack. Daniel Shell, first man to react, got the easiest of chest marks, 20 metres out, and this could take the margin to 72 points, and that was the biggest margin of the game, and it was at the 17-minute mark of the second term as the boos come for McDowell as he re-enters the game. And Shell has duly kicked a goal. Daniel Shell now has 6 for the afternoon, and as I said, that is the biggest margin of the game, equals what Port Adelaide, or rather what Central District had at the 17-minute mark of the second term.
Well, Central Districts will just be hoping to get through this next 10 minutes or so. We see Wilson going down to the rooms without any further injury or any kind of real hard knocks that their players have to take into next week and into the finals campaign. They'll be very happy to come through this without any injuries, major injuries, get those few players back that are sitting on the sidelines at the moment, and look forward to another successful, what could be a successful finals campaign.
72 points the difference. Parry, who's continued to leap and try hard. There's Buckets. McKenzie kicks it inside 50. Daniel Shell will fly over the back, thumped away by Andrews. Loose ball. Chris Gowans in hard. Locks it up. Another ball up.
Gowans a study in how to rove the ball. Then he looked up, saw Andrews was coming from the back and took about 3 or 4 steps to what was his left, I think, down there, which meant he was going further away from the pack because Andrews was going to thump it so far forward.
Another change down there, Sodas.
Michael, there's changes aplenty there, but I'm just checking out Elijah Ware. He's just been assessed by the doctors. He's okay. Marco Bello reckons he'll never play again. Reckons Elijah Ware is just about gone for all money, but I think he's fine. He's smiling and very happy.
Disappointment for Doggies fans. Marco Bello announcing his retirement this afternoon.
No, he actually insinuated Elijah Ware will never play again. Marco Bello's happy with himself. Yeah, he's fine.
Taken by Dew. The kiss queuing up on the outer side. Kane Officer, he's booted a couple. He might set up Daniel Shell for goal number 7. That is an absolute spear from the young man Kane Officer, who was a late replacement. And look at this. Daniel Shell.
The delivery absolutely perfect for Daniel Shell, and I tell you, you'd love to play as a full forward in this team. The amount of times the football comes moved quickly through by that midfield of the Gowans, the likes of Bello, Slade, and the way they hit the targets up forward, they just move it so quickly, and their kicks are pinpoint.
Daniel Shell for goal number 7. Goal umpire just watches it cruise over his head. 7 goals, 6 to Daniel Shell in a stellar performance at full forward today.
And he's taken 13 marks up front there.
13 marks, a fantastic return for Daniel Shell. He'd probably be the only thing he'd be disappointed with is the fact that he hasn't got an extra couple of goals. He's missed a couple that maybe he'd like to put down, he'd normally kick. But it has been a stellar performance at full forward. The dominant forward on the ground. Evans has been all right up the other end. But with his third opponent in Corey Archie, Daniel Shell has had a great game.
Greatest margin in this match too was beautiful tap down, finds Jew, drives it up in the direction of the big forwards in Shell and Schooler. Port Adelaide managed to get it scrambling out of defence. It's been their problem all afternoon. They've been really thumped in the midfield. And here another mistake opens the way for Thomas. Dummied when he should have given the hand pass. Finally did to Chris Gowans. Jew from just outside 50 can kick this easy. Did they all know it too? I don't think there was a person in the ground who didn't know that Stuart Jew was going to load up and be able to make that distance.
It doesn't matter who's watching the football, it doesn't matter what team you support. When you see someone like Stewie Jew, who we know has got such a fantastic left foot on him, line up the goals from about 60 and just hoof it. That's what we like to see in Stewie Jew. That is his forte, and I'm sure the Port Adelaide AFL team will be licking their lips seeing Stuart Jew get on the end of one of those.
Stuart Jew's had 8 kicks this quarter, 17 for the game.
Has been terrific. Didn't he show some emotion and elation there? He loves playing for the Bulldogs, Stewie Jew. Hopwood kicks it forward. Rowe front and square by James Gowans. Chris Gowans might get on the end of this. In goes King, does a bit of good shuffling. Wobbly old kick, Biachi in trouble. Gets it back to King, who followed on. Chris Gowans takes him to ground. He gets a kick away. Eilert happy to see the boundary line. 84 points the difference. And let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 goals to 1. And there's a brutal tackle by Chris Gowans.
Well done by Matthew King running the ball there. He kept it in front of him. He did extremely well to keep that ball moving. And unfortunately, Port Adelaide just missing their targets again. That's been the story of their day.
Here's Stewie for goal number 4. No, the script was there, but Stewie couldn't deliver.
Too close for him, I think, Michael, that time. He needs to be outside 50. But I think the move, putting Stuart Jew by Roy Laird, putting Stuart Jew into the midfield is one that has really worked dividends this last quarter. He's been reasonably fresh. As we hear the final siren blow.
What a win to Central District. 22 goals, 15, 147 have absolutely thrashed Port Adelaide. 10 goals, 2, 62. And Matthew Knights, as he makes the long trudge down to address his players, I think their season is over, and I don't think they'd do too much damage if they made the finals in any case, Ben.
No, I don't think so. I think that convincing loss and their loss last night to Norwood has really put an end to their season 2004. Matthew Knights, disconsolate, he's really strolling down there, trying to get out of it as soon as he can. Down to Mark Soderstrom on the boundary.
Thanks, Benny. I'm joined by Hurricane Heath Hopwood. Hoppy, pretty sweet victory.
Yeah, it was a good victory. I mean, we had patches where we obviously weren't happy with our play, but overall it was a good effort.
Past couple of weeks you've been running around riot on the half-back line. Does Roy give you a licence to do what you like there?
Well, he does as long as I'm getting the footy, otherwise he takes it off me. But no, he gives me a fair bit of freedom.
So no danger of picking up a man the next couple of weeks?
Not really in the finals, don't we?
Now, you've had some hamstring problems during the year, but the body's holding up well. Is it leading into the finals?
Yeah, it's actually coming along well now. We've done some solid training and it's feeling really good.
Well done today, mate. Keep it up.
Thanks, mate.
Heath Hopwood joining Mark Soderstrom down there on the boundary, and Central's, well, look, they finished off the match really well. 85 points, you would have to be happy with that, but there were stages where Port Adelaide, as I said, they got a run on, kicked 3 in a row and then 4 in a row either side of half-time.
They did. There are a couple of worrying things, I guess, for Central Districts. The fact they allowed Port Adelaide to get at those run-ons, but really they had the game in control from that first quarter. The fact they went out there, they blew Port Adelaide away before Port Adelaide even knew what had happened to them, and that just set up their game. They could then relax a little bit, and they had the ability to, if Port Adelaide did get a few, they knew, they still had the confidence in themselves that they could come back and they could keep pushing away from Port Adelaide.
And as if there was any doubt, you would think that Centrals are the team to beat still in the SANFL.
No doubt, that has cemented them on top of the ladder. 2 games clear with the Eagles having the bye this week. And so Central Districts, you'd think, will definitely finish on top of the ladder, and will lead them in with a break first week in the finals perfectly early for their 2004 finals campaign.
Last year, I'll come to that in a moment as we just go through the quarter-by-quarter scores. And really, that 7 goals, 3 to 1 goal opening term was what set it up for Centrals. And in the end, 7 goals, 4 in the final quarter to 1 goal, 1.
Yeah, a very dominant performance as we look at the leading goal kickers. Daniel Shell finishing with 7 goals. Like I said during the game, you'd love to be on the end of the way the Central District's on ballers deliver the football up forward. Stewie Jew with 3, Krieg, Officer and Cowan each with 2, and on the other hand, for Port Adelaide, Evans with 4, Figget, McDowell with 2 each.
And a quick look through those stats will tell us that, well, in the end, the handball was very, very even, but the kicks, look at that, and the disposal, the ability to correctly dispose of the ball to another player, just so evident in the effectiveness of Central District.
83 more kicks there for Central Districts, and that is the telling sign. They just didn't get a hold of it. Look at the inside 50, 71 to 33. That is the most dominant inside 50 I think I've seen.
And they're just about to display their singing abilities down in the Central's room. They'd be very, very happy with an 85-point victory over Port Adelaide, a side that beat them in the mid-80s in 2 grand finals. Mid-80s, I meant mid-90s in actual fact, 95 and 96, those 2 victories for Port Adelaide in the grand final over Central District. Interesting, at half-time I heard a couple of wags from the Central crowd suggesting last season we had a top 4, increased it to a top 5. Port Adelaide missed out, and some Centrals fans suggesting maybe Port will want a top 6 next year. Anyway, back down to the rooms, here's Roy Laird and he's with Sodas.
Thanks, Neil. Roy, a super start, set the win up.
Yeah, it was an outstanding first half. We probably played 55 of the best minutes in the first half we have done all year. Our last 5, just before half-time, we gave away 3 goals, which was disappointing, but overall, really good win.
Third term, you looked a little bit flat. Do you put that down to the weather and perhaps you're going through a solid phase during training?
Well, I guess, yeah, it's a bit of a turnaround, getting some heat. Some of the blokes were in the ice vest and that at quarter time and half-time, so possibly that in combination, yeah, with a bit of hard training.
So you weren't really concerned with that third term?
No. They set it up really well to half-time, and Port, proud club, would have been disappointed themselves, so we expected a reaction, but settled well again the last quarter.
Simon Hunter had a run around the twos and looked like he got through okay. Daniel Healy also to come back. A few other players that are close to returning, is there?
Sorry, I can't think for the moment who else didn't play today. Oh, sorry, Cochrane didn't play today. Surgeon, who's on Port Power's list, played in the reserves as well. So, yeah, we've got some players to pick from.
Is Healy close to returning in the twos, perhaps?
Yeah, we've got a bye next week where I'd hope he'll start. He might even have a run next Saturday morning. We'll have a bit of a trial, and then he'll definitely play in the last game.
Well, Roy, it looks like you've just about sewn up the minor premiership. Look forward to the finals.
Yeah, we are, definitely. Thanks, mate.
And you can that was almost excitement from Roy Laird. Certainly there was plenty to be excited about for the Centrals fans this afternoon, and what better place to start than Daniel Shell.
Yes, the ability early for Central Districts to get their hands on the football. Port Adelaide not putting enough pressure on them, on the midfielders. You see the delivery there on 2 or 3 occasions. Daniel Shell getting on the end of fantastic pinpoint passes. And again, James Gowns bringing it forward. Daniel Shell, great game, 7 goals, fantastic return, and just, looking great up forward for their finals campaign.
Just strong pack mark, and that was a strong mark by Corey Archie there. Just coming across the front of the pack, but really didn't have much across half forward. Archie was there initially, but certainly cut up in the midfield and didn't have much across half forward, Port Adelaide.
No, that's right, and then Archie had to be thrown back to go and stand on Shell because Shell was running wild up forward for Central. So wherever Port thought they maybe had a strength, they had to reassess after that first quarter and a half and go back to maybe the old style way of Port Adelaide, which just hasn't been successful this year.
Peter Mann just standing up for Port, a former school first 18 captain at Sacred Heart, if I remember correctly. So he's certainly got a bit of form. Sacred Heart, of course, a lot of players playing AFL football have come from that great college down at the Bay.
Yeah, no doubt. Sacred Heart's a breeding ground for good players, as is Pembroke. I've heard this lately.
Your employer will be very, very happy to get that one in. And Brad Curry, and that was the incident just behind play where Elijah Ware got whacked behind the ear.
That would have disappointed Matthew Knights.
Yeah, I think so. That probably McDowell coming off straight away, and of course, what a better way to finish it. There couldn't be a better way to finish it for Stuart Jude, kicking a couple of goals, but this incident looked ugly just for a moment. Certainly, James Wilson didn't come off very well out of that, and Stuart Jude looked like he might be in a bit of trouble. As it was, he was able to go on and kick a couple of goals in the last quarter.
Yeah, it looks like James Wilson had a, well, hopefully not too serious leg injury there, and Stuart Jude, when he did come back onto the ground into the midfield, as we'll see in a minute, he really tore it apart. He had a lot of touches in the last 10-15 minutes of the game when maybe those legs of the SANFL footballers just couldn't quite go with his obviously fitness and his training that he would have had down in the AFL. There's that goal.
This was to quote that very famous line, special.
Trademark. Isn't it? That's Stuart Jude, trademark Stuart Jude. And you see how excited he was, and that's such a great sign that a guy coming back from the AFL is that excited to play for his home team in Central District.
He is a premiership player here at Elizabeth. As we just look through those quarter-by-quarter scores, a little bit of a letdown in that third quarter, as Roy Laird talked about with Sodas, but nevertheless, still a very, very comfortable 85-point victory. And Mark Soderstrom, you're down in the rooms. Just want to ask you again about Brad Symes. He had that trip to Darwin with Port Adelaide last week and didn't play, and then he's come back and got a fairly hefty knock in the head.
Yeah, he did, Neil. After he caught that knock, the medical staff said he was okay, but perhaps the after effects came back, and he did vomit during that third term there. So Brad Symes has been concussed, obviously. They weren't going to risk him for the rest of the game, but I assume he will be okay.
And somewhere out there also is Michael Maney. And look, Michael, I want to ask you this too. You heard, I said before, I heard some Centrals fans suggesting maybe for Port Adelaide's sake we'll get a top 6 next year.
Yeah, look, I think that'd be well on the cards for. I think they'll finish lower than top 6. But look, Central District's really coming into to this game with some good form. The Eagles have dropped off the pace. Who are going to challenge the Bulldogs? I don't think it's going to be I think the Eagles will still be there. I think they could come back into it. But North Adelaide have really been the team that have stuck the spanner in the works. And Sturt, well, they need to play their best football in the next few weeks for them to be a real serious chance in 2004.
And I must also ask you, Michael, about your marking ability.
Marking ability, yeah, pretty good. Had a bit of a crack with one of the young kids there earlier, and did it pretty well. But look, great to see that in SANFL football, the kids can get out on the ground and have a kick and a catch and all that sort of thing. And let's say too that Port Adelaide and Centrals don't like each other, but in the crowd there's been a little bit of toing and froing, but generally they've been okay.
I know this was like taking candy off a baby then, wasn't it? So does, look, I've got to ask you too about the Central's performance, but where do you rate Port Adelaide now? Is it even worth it if they do make the finals?
Well, they are going to struggle. Next week they play West Adelaide, and Westies really are working hard to make that 5th spot. Westies lost a lot of players, so they've done well to get this far. Port Adelaide, I think, look, they were spirited. They did have a real crack after half-time. Their season was on the line. But I think they are going to struggle. There's no doubt that Centrals are the quality side of the competition. The Eagles have faltered the last couple of weeks. Sturt and North now battle tomorrow for that top 3 spot. But at the moment, I think Central District's no doubt the premier side in the competition.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Thanks, Sodas. Thanks to Michael Maney and Ben. Look, I've got one question for you. Only 6 wins, 12 losses for the season. Top 5, is it necessary?
Well, last year I think they tried it, didn't they? They tried the top 4. They brought the top 5 back this year because of the tradition, I guess, and a couple of teams that maybe just missed out thinking, well, we don't have as much to play for. So maybe the last few rounds of the year, it adds a bit of spice to it. Maybe that's why the SANFL have gone with the top 5 again.
It certainly does, as we look forward to what we've got coming on ABC TV with Port Adelaide against West Adelaide next week. Probably last roll of the dice, you'd think, for Port, certainly if they lose to West at Alberton. And that's at the special time of 2 o'clock. We'll come to the reason in a moment as we look through those other matches. Norwood against the Eagles have stumbled just a bit, the Eagles. Glenelg against North Adelaide and South against Sturt. Still 2 matches to come in this round. West Adelaide against Norwood and Sturt against North Adelaide tomorrow, which should probably decide that top 3 position. And the reason that 2 o'clock match is on next week, it's because of the netball, the National Netball League Grand Final between the Melbourne Phoenix and the Sydney Swifts. That's at 4:30 on ABC TV next Saturday afternoon. Ben, that's about it for this afternoon. Certainly
right.
Very happy for the Centrals fans. They've won by 85 points. And we'll catch you next week from Alberton Oval.